You want to just throw those on to make sure you can hear me? Or no?
The audio I got for Aaron is 1 minute exactly.
What do you have?
I just have him saying my intention is to play, and it's my intention to play for the Jets, and him explaining that.
Okay. Good morning, Ambient Heat. How are you? Big win for your Avs last night. Hopeful at some point my co-host puts his headsets on and we make sure he can hear me.
David.
He's not paying any attention.
I wonder if he's sleeping.
No. I can see him.
No, I know. I see him too.
See, this is where I'm different. I like to work out. I'd want to work out the whole show segment by segment, and he has no desire to. That way he says, hey, I read this article on this. Then I could have a point of reference instead of, hey, I read this. And I'm sitting there going, I didn't. Hey, how are you?
How is everybody?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. All right. I'm back amongst the living.
Hey, real quick, just because March Madness starts today and the other show's doing their show early. Remember last year?
Yeah.
We had to cut the promo during one of the commercial breaks.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Yeah. All right. We got less than a minute.
I don't know what it's like in Jacksonville, but it's freezing here.
Oh, sock advisory.
Pants advisory.
Pants advisory.
In March.
It barely got to 60 here yesterday.
It's in the 50s here right now.
It's 41. 41.
Should be illegal.
Although we're supposed to get to low 70s today, so. And then 80 tomorrow. But then it gets cold again. By Sunday, Monday, we're 60.
It's supposed to rain all weekend. I'm supposed to go fishing. I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do with 80% chance of rain and storms because I have no desire to fish in 80% chance of rain, storms, and 60 degrees.
5 seconds.
Look at Guillermo.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Oh, what a great day it is. Brackets, the madness. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I feel better than I sound. We're at that point, Mark. All right, sleeping through the night, everything's fine. I'm breathing fine. Still sound like I'm a mess, though. All right, you know how sometimes the voice takes a day to catch up.
I do. You came down to Southwest Florida and caught what everybody had because my daughter's about where you are, that she's kind of cleared through her couple of days and not feeling great.
Yeah, I find
Felipe
it
had it. I didn't. I avoided all of it.
Well, you were golfing.
I was intaking proper medicine for 4 days. Say what you want.
Brown liquid.
Damn right. Killing off any infection that came near me.
You got that right.
Infection, the cold came up to my nose and said, I'm not going in there.
I just find it funny, all the traveling that I do throughout the year, and it's going to the 239 that got me sick. I mean, that's like playing a joke on me. Who says a big fella doesn't have a sense of humor?
David,
That
with all
is
due
for sure.
respect, how have you not gotten COVID? How is that possible?
Felipe, I'm one of those people in which I don't sit around and wonder that. All right. I just keep on going through life and, okay.
Props to you.
I mean, I think it was being my age and growing up, not wearing a seatbelt, not wearing a helmet, all the asbestos in the schools. Okay. I think it conditioned me. All right. When you grew up in Jersey in the 70s, and you had the needles that were washing up on shore and you had the asbestos that was wrapped around your pipes in the school and you played out in the back in amongst the high electric tension wires and what have you. I think it toughens you up for later in life.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt, David, that the drinking out of the hose.
Right. So, I'm lucky, obviously. And I'll take a little bit. I would have preferred to win the lottery, but okay, if I could win this, that's fine too. Man, today's a great day, isn't it? I mean, aren't you thinking about playing hooky today? I mean, aren't you trying to figure out? I'm definitely going to play hooky tomorrow. I'd be lucky if I put 3 hours, 4 tops into work tomorrow, but is there a way for me to play a little hooky today?
I'm ticked off because I've got things to do and I can't control them.
Oh, man.
I've got one thing in the afternoon, gymnastics for the daughter, and I will be sitting. She's going to get, because usually if I'm on my phone, I get the old, you didn't even watch me. And I'm going to say, yeah, I did, and I lie.
Right.
Today, you didn't even watch me. And I go, no, I was watching March Madness. Did you see me on my phone? I cheered 4 times. Right. You had fallen, and I was cheering. It was a last-second shot.
You're lucky I brought you to gymnastics today. You want me to watch you at gymnastics today?
You crazy?
Come on now. I mean, I love you, but there's a point. Hey, don't you have to have a talk with the people running gymnastics and go, listen, I know you got a calendar and this, that, and the other thing, and we pay and all that, but you do know these are the first 2 days of the tournament, right? All right. And I understand there's a lot of moms here and I'm outnumbered, but everybody fills out a bracket.
Do they anymore?
Sure. Come on, Mark. I mean, we know in the building in which you are doing the show right now, how many times did the secretary in the front win the office pool?
I've got you. What I'm saying is, and I'm not trying to be negative because I'm fired up towards the tournament. I don't think the tournament has nearly the allure that it did a decade ago. I don't see office pools the way that I did. I used to get emails from 47 different people. Join this pool, join that pool. I got one this year from my cousin. And I joined, I filled out a bracket so I could at least be in one contest. But usually there are 5,000 contests. And maybe it's because I don't work in the office situation that I once did. But I'm not feeling the same vibe of brackets being filled out the way they were a decade ago. That's all.
That's fair. I will counter with 2 things for you to ponder. One, let's face it, in the last 3 years, there's a lot less office.
Absolutely.
So that, hence a lot less office pools. Secondly, there's a lot more legal gambling now, in which instead of having to have the technically illegal office pool and handing out the sheets and all that, first off, everybody just goes online and fills out their bracket now. And secondly, they can gamble on this sucker legally.
I got you, but gambling legally doesn't mean filling out a bracket. And I get the online part. And David, I've been doing brackets online for a decade. I get the invitations online. People that are running the pools aren't running them, at least the people in my circle. So I'm wondering if this tournament still has the same pizzazz that it once did. We don't know the players that we used to.
So is that your question of the day for the audience then? Does March Madness still have, by the way, the word you used for the record? I don't know if you want to hang your hat on this for the rest of the day. Does it have the same, wait for it, pizzazz?
I'm fine with that word.
And by the way, you can spell that however you'd like. I know you're a stickler for that. You hate to misspell something.
I wouldn't even attempt it.
All right. I would recommend 3 Z's.
I was going to say 3 Z's.
Yeah, pizza with a Z on the end would be how I would go, but that's, whatever. Pizzazz. Is that like David Lee Roth back in the day saying we've got charisma?
It is.
Okay.
It's in the same ill. I like where you're at with that.
All right. So does the tournament have the same
oomph,
pizzazz? Come on now. We all know what that means.
That's all I'm wondering.
Well, I am fired up. Fired up.
And I love that you get all fired up on Thursday and have zero interest in the first 4.
Yeah. I really, unless there's a coach or a team or what have you that I have a big interest in, like, the FDU's from Jersey, and we used to make fun of that school growing up there. And that's a big deal for them. So good for them. All right. I love the fact, by the way, they're the same team that they were 7 years ago when FGCU trounced them. They don't have anybody on the roster taller than 6'6". And so now they're going to play Purdue, which is spectacular. I mean, could they play a bigger team? So that's part of the tournament that I love. I don't know if that falls under the category of pizzazz, but I mean, literally it's well, if you're a Purdue fan, it could scare the heck out of you because it could look an awful lot like Purdue St. Peter's from a year ago. But I digress. So, because that's that's what's right there, Mark. I could reach out and grab it. A St. Peter's, an Oral Roberts, an FGCU, a UMBC. Come on, we got to have one of them, right?
Not sure if you were opening a bank account there or what exactly you were doing.
Yeah, I know.
An FGCU, a UMBC, did you just get a car, a loan, or did you buy some sort of wild drink that I'm not aware of?
I know. I don't know if I need to be drug tested or if I just opened up like an accounting firm, but all I know is there's winners in there somewhere. There's pizzazz. There's plenty of charisma. And all of those teams have happened in the last 10 years. And with what we think is a lot of, and you could call it parity. You could describe it as mediocrity. However, it's a tournament. There's not a lot separating these teams. We get neutral courts and neutral officiating, and then the crowd starts rooting for the underdog over the big boy.
That is my favorite part of the tournament, is that you've got Duke and Oral Roberts.
Right.
And nobody likes Duke out there. And they'll have their crowd. It'll be fine. They'll be into it. But the majority of the people there will not have a rooting interest in Duke. If Oral Roberts starts to play at all, the crowd changes.
Totally. And they're in Orlando. Absolutely. Absolutely. Duke will have their 6,000 fans. And the other 12,000 will be for Oral Roberts. And all Oral Roberts has to do is just be close. That's all. Because the 12,000 will sit on their hand. Although it's Duke, they may cheer a little bit early. But, we witnessed it 10 years ago in Philadelphia. It was FGCU against Georgetown, and Georgetown brought their 5,000 people. And the other 15,000 were hanging out. Oh, okay. Because, by the way, Duke was playing later. Duke was playing the game right after FGCU. And so the crowd's filling in at halftime. It's a 2-point game at the half. And so the Duke people start showing up and they go, I'll be damned, we got a game. But, I mean, nobody's thinking that the underdogs are going to win. And then all of a sudden, the underdog starts showing, we may have something here. And next thing you know, FGCU had a home game. A flat-out home game.
And they had never had one before.
No.
Not even at their own arena at that point.
No. Biggest crowd they had ever played in front of at home was about 3,500. Next thing you know, they had 15,000 behind them in Philly.
And the Canes will run into the same thing if Drake starts playing.
No doubt.
Stop it. No, it's true. I'm just saying I don't want to picture that.
Well, you better, because they're going to be in a game. They're playing a good team.
Yep.
Please, no. Not
There
literally.
are a lot of, I don't know if the bracket was easy for you to fill out, Mark, or not, but do you ever enter those in which you can actually like pick the first round upset, but then pick the favorite to get through to the Sweet 16 and beyond? Because I had a couple of those that I wanted to do. Like, I am torn on Duke Oral Roberts. I actually think Duke can go to the Final Four if they can beat Oral Roberts.
I did 2 brackets. Duke went to the Final Four and won. They lost their first game in the other, David.
There you go.
I'm right there with you. Because they get, the odds are they're going to get Tennessee on the other side, who's got a man down. They should be able to get through that game.
Like, I think Miami goes to at least the Elite Eight and beating Houston in the Sweet 16 if they can beat Drake tomorrow. I'm really worried about Drake. Hell, for that
3
matter,
years older on average than Miami is, for crying out loud.
for that matter, I'm worried about Colgate if I'm Texas. And that's when I knew I was maybe picking a few too many upsets. That's all. Miller and Moulton. It's the brackets.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The Mets have to be cursed. They must be. Mark, you saw what happened last night,
I
right?
did.
They're cursed. After such a great moment, too, with the Lindor inside the park home run.
Guillermo sounds like a commercial. It's the food, guys. The food.
I'm just hoping he adopts me after this third act goes south.
Well, Guillermo, I'm looking forward to. Apparently, there's going to be a Monday night game, I think, in Germany or something. I don't know how that's possible, but I was told we were going to Germany. So, be nice to do a couple shows in the afternoon.
"30 seconds. "10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
At 21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hope you've had a good week so far. And, well, it's got to get better. It's got to get better beginning today, right? The madness in less than 6 hours. Get your brackets filled out. Get your brackets filled out. Get them in. Anybody could win the damn pool this year. Anything is possible this year. Literally anything feels possible this year.
It does early. I don't know how many. I mean, I don't have the feeling that we're going to get 2 3s, a 4, and a 1 in the Final Four.
So you
I think we're going to get 1s, 2s, and 1 outlier.
Okay. And that could be.
Doesn't mean it won't be a great tournament, though, because we've talked about most of the time the Blue Bloods getting through helps. It's the craziness on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday that sets the tournament.
I just think that, well, first off, we've got a few Blue Bloods this year that are not their normal seeds. Duke's a 5. Kentucky's a 6. I think Kentucky's overseeded. So, Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin, not even in the damn thing. So it's already been a crazy year in college basketball, so to speak. UCLA's a 2, but they're without 2 starters. So are they really somebody who can win their region and go to the Final Four? It's going to take a lot for UCLA to live up to their seeding. And not the easiest draw either. And I just think there's more pitfalls for the top seeds earlier in this year's tournament. I think, Mark, you could end up right that if the big boys by seeding can get to week 2, this could look chalkish. But I think they're going to have a lot of trouble getting to the Sweet 16. And, we've been saying it for a while now, and let's see if we end up being right. We got 4 12s and 4 13s. and I like them all. That doesn't mean they're going to go 8-0, but I mean, they seem better than most years 12 and 13s. That's all I know. They're the best of the mid-majors, if you know what I mean. And if we don't think there's a whole lot of difference anymore, you got the best of the mid-majors lined up playing 4 and 5 seeds. That's exactly who you want them lining up and playing.
And I think Vegas is nuts giving Louisiana 11.5 against Tennessee in a 4-13 game.
I know it keeps going up too. I don't get it.
You know, Duke is a 6.5 point favorite over Oral Roberts, and everybody loves Duke. And I think that line is mainly because of who Duke is and how people will bet them. But I'm with you, David, that you look at these, you know, St. Mary's is only a 4.5 point favorite over VCU in a 5-12 game. Connecticut's not even a 10-point favorite over Iona, which is just spectacular, Connecticut and Iona.
I know. Rick Pitino walking across, shaking Hurley's hands, going, hey, I'll see you twice a year beginning next year at St. John's. How you doing?
San Diego State, who's got a lot of pressure on them playing Charleston, they're a 5.5 point favorite. Charleston's won 31 games this year. You know, Furman's a 13. They're only a 5.5 point dog to Virginia.
You know, the Oral Roberts team that's in the tournament this year, most people in and around the program think this year's team's better than the one 2 years ago that went to the Sweet 16 as a 15. They do. They think this year's team's actually better. And this year's team might be one and done. But that team 2 years ago won 2 games and was a jump shot away from the Elite Eight. And they think this year's team's better. You know, the Drake team that's playing Miami tomorrow, this is the best Drake team he's had. And he had a team 2 years ago that won a tournament game. This is his best team. And he won a game as an 11 2 years ago. And now he's a 12 with a better team.
And what the majority of these mid-majors have, and we've talked about this a lot this week, is they have experience. These are teams that are full of 4, 5, and in some cases 6-year guys.
4 of Oral Roberts' regulars were on the Sweet 16 team from 2 years ago. 4. And so, listen, the big boys may all escape round 1. This could be very chalky. But I know one thing. Miller and Moulton are taking points the first 2 days. We are taking points, and we are living with it. And if we lose, we lose. I got no problems losing. But I'm getting the 5.5, and I'm getting the 6.5 in all these games. And I'm waiting for Teddy Valentine to zebra me at the end. Hey, Aaron Rodgers intends to play for the Jets. Did you hear that?
I did. We even have some audio from it to play later if we would like.
I love how he worded it. I intend to play for the Jets, but basically my current employer is being a pain in the butt.
And I'm not sure why the current employer should do anything but that. It's a lot better for the current employer to wait this out. We've said it all along. I know this may get done and all of those things. The Packers have no interest in doing this really before June 1st. None.
Okay. Listen, I'm just letting you know right now, if I'm the Jets, I can go to August without even losing an hour of sleep. Okay. The quarterback that we're going to acquire knows the playbook better than all of his teammates. All right. Because Nathaniel Hackett's the new offensive coordinator. They're going to run the same damn offense that they ran in Green Bay. Okay. So he knows the terminology. I'll bet you the Jets have already given him the playbook.
I'm sure they have.
So you remember, Favre was traded to the Jets in the first week of August. They were 8-3 before his shoulder got hurt. All right. Mark, you're the Packers on the Jets. I can wait you out on this because the other thing, if I'm the Jets, I tell Rodgers, by the way, you're showing up for everything. Mini camp, everything. You're going to Green Bay. You're showing up. I mean, that's how Favre got his butt traded. If you remember, he showed up for training camp and the Packers went, blank. Then they had family night and they literally had to say to Favre, yeah, you can't come. And so he sat in a suite and watched it with his family. while the players were on the field and what have you, and the crowd was chanting for Favre. Now, I don't think the crowd's going to be chanting for Rodgers, okay? Although, who knows? If they watch Jordan Love work out, maybe they will.
Packers won't allow the fans to watch the workouts, David. They wouldn't want that part to be part of the equation. They'd like to make sure that the fans just get to get an autograph and maybe a picture and get the best of Jordan Love, which is him on the practice field not throwing a football.
But if I'm Rodgers, I'm showing up for everything in Green Bay. Everything until they trade me. Absolutely, positively everything. I'm doing like they do in Pittsburgh. I'm showing up on a bike, even, right up to training camp. Hey, happy to be here. Good to see everybody. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I wanted to play for the Jets. They won't let me, so I guess I'm back.
And how many events would Rodgers show up for before June 1st? How many? One mini camp?
Well, at least. I mean, I don't know if they schedule 2 back-to-back, but it would probably be one early May, one early June.
But early June, June 1's the number for the Packers from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, but Mark, we could do the deal today and say it goes into effect June 2nd. I mean, cuts have been made already in which the guys have been designated June 1st cuts. We could do this deal and say it goes into effect June 2nd. You don't want to do the deal. Fine, I'll wait you out.
I think the Packers want to do the deal. They want more compensation than what the Jets are offering.
Okay. Aaron, looks like you're going to De Pere, Wisconsin in May.
And this is where if I'm the Packers, I wouldn't let him play. I'd let him show up. If you want to show up, just sit there. You're not doing a damn thing.
And if I was him, I'd show up with a 6-pack and a bunch of, hot dogs, bunch of brats just sitting there. Team looks good.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Nice one, Canada Relief. Nice one for the pizzazz.
We've got 60 seconds of sound from Rodgers if you want to roll it at 7. or if you want to roll it now.
Nah, we'll give it its own thing. What do you mean no fast food, no chains? Oh, when I'm no. I would no. Come on. No. No, it's not like I went to Mexico City and went to Taco Bell. I mean, come on.
So you'll probably miss the Tuesday show after that because you'll probably get out right after the show on.
Well, I'm wondering, is that going to end up being like a Saturday game? I mean, it can't be Monday night. I mean, it's in Germany. I mean, it's 2, 3 in the morning. So when they said we're going to Germany, I thought to myself, well, when the hell's that game going to be played? So I'm curious as hell when the schedule comes out in 2 months as to what that's all about.
They're trying ambient heat. They're trying to make this 96 teams or whatever it is. It's ridiculous. 120, whatever they want to do.
There's just not enough good teams. Can't do it.
Quick little trivia question for you, David. There are 9 states that have never hosted a PGA Tour event. What are the 9?
I mean, I'd throw Maine out there.
That's one.
I'd throw both Dakotas.
That's 2 and 3.
Montana.
That's 4.
I thought they used to have a tournament in Idaho, so Alaska.
There you go. That's 5.
New Mexico.
That's 6.
Kansas.
No, Kansas has had one.
What are the other 3?
New Hampshire.
Okay.
Vermont and Wyoming.
Okay. Faxon used to do a celebrity pro-am 2-day event, raise some money on a Monday and Tuesday. I think CBS sponsored it for a long time.
Like Nebraska had one in like the 30s. Like there's a bunch of them that have had like.
Right. Well, the reason I didn't guess Nebraska was I figured Omaha had one once upon a time.
Just saw it was a tweet I saw, and I'm like, oh, all right, that just interesting.
Yeah. Ambient Colorado had this thing called the International for 20 years. Plus, also, I don't know if it counts, but Cherry Hill is in Colorado, and they had a couple of U.S. Opens there.
15 seconds. When do you want to use that Rogers audio?
Probably 7 o'clock.
Okay. Also, do you know who the head coach of the Italy baseball team is?
Piazza.
Yes, it's Mike Piazza. I love that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller, profootballnetwork.com 1 hour from now. Tim Brando, 2 hours from now. By the way, Roy Cummings will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll kind of review where the Bucks are during this legal tampering free agency week. Now everything's legit. It's totally above board. It is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Aaron Rodgers says he intends to play for the Jets this year, said he was leaning retirement when he went into the darkness. He emerged from the darkness and he wanted to play. And now he wants to play for the Jets. And he says the only reason he's not a Jet yet is the Packers. They're holding this whole thing up for compensation. So we're at a standoff. Cowboys release Ezekiel Elliott, 2-time rushing champion. Has only rushed for 1,000 yards once in the last 4 seasons. They save $11 million against the cap. He officially becomes a cut on June 1st. Fletcher Cox stays in Philly, 1 year, $10 million. Miles Sanders leaves Philly, goes to Carolina, 4 years, $25 million, half of it guaranteed. Jamal Williams left Detroit for the Saints. I can't believe the Lions didn't match this. 3 years, $12 million. They lost Jamal Williams over $4 million a year. He scored 17 touchdowns last year. They paid David Montgomery $2 million a year more. What am I missing here?
He was a short yardage only guy. I mean, I know he scored a ton of touchdowns. He had 17 touchdowns on, 18 yards for those 17 touchdowns. He was their battering ram, and they didn't re-sign him.
Juju Smith-Schuster left the Chiefs for the Patriots. 3 years, $33 million. James Robinson also signed with the Patriots, a 2-year, $8 million deal. Baker Mayfield, a year late, but he goes to Tampa. He's going to get paid between $4 and $8.5 million, depending on playing time and all that sort of thing. Levante David also re-signs, 1 year, $7 million. That's got to be a case of he turned down more money and elsewhere, and he just doesn't want to leave. Jacoby Brissett to Washington, 1 year, $8 to $10 million. If you're Washington, Heineke or Brissett, who would you want to be the backup? They chose Brissett.
Yeah, I know. I'd choose Heineke.
Cleveland signed Kansas City safety Juan Thornhill to a multi-year deal. Dolphins re-signed Myles Gaskin. So they brought the whole running back room back. They let them all become free agents and then re-signed them all. They also signed safety Deshaun Elliott, who had been with Baltimore and Detroit the last 4 years. Oh, yeah. And overnight, the Cincinnati Bengals spent money in free agency.
What has the world come to, David?
Big left tackle Orlando Brown, 4-year deal, $64 million, half of it in a signing bonus. Mike Brown wrote a check. Holy man, he's just getting himself ready for the Burrow deal in a year or two.
Wants that stadium, David.
Damn right he does. And if he keeps Burrow, he'll get it. May have to give him part of the franchise, but hey, got to do what you got to do.
Well, first you have to keep him upright because he still gets sacked a ton. So we went and got him a big left tackle because that line that was all revamped didn't do a hell of a lot better than it did a year before. But they had this thing called a Joe Burrow, and it worked out all right.
If you have a Joe Burrow, it really helps. Fairleigh Dickinson whooped up on Texas Southern by 23. So they advanced to face Purdue. Meanwhile, Arizona State led by 27 at the half against Nevada, 53-26. They shot 65% for the game. They won by 25. Next up, I think they play like Iowa State or somebody like that. NIT, one game of note. UCF went to Gainesville and pounded the Gators.
Absolutely drummed them.
67-49. Florida's first season under their new coach ends at 16-17. So to review, the football teams put back 6 and 7 seasons on the board. The basketball team just went 16-17. The women's basketball team finished tied for 10th in the SEC.
But gymnastics and baseball are doing fantastically.
Outstanding. Yes.
Could win natties in both.
But here's the really concerning news if you're a Gator basketball fan. Riley Kugel, your best returning player. Yeah, he was asked after the game, are you coming back? And he's been asked this question for 6 weeks. And his answer was always, yeah. His answer last night, yeah, I don't want to answer that right now. All righty then.
Hello, Portal.
He's projected to be a late first, early second round pick.
He played at the City of Palms Classic, by the way. He was unbelievable in that.
And he's
tournament.
just coming into his own, too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If
Gifted
they lose
scorer.
him off of next year's team, it will be a big loss.
Mm-hmm.
Heat have 7 in double figures. They whacked Memphis 138-119. By the way, officially, Mark, the NBA suspends Ja Morant 8 games. Of course, the suspension started 12 days ago, and it goes until the middle of next week. Well, he's getting counseling in Florida. He's not going to play. So all they basically did was take some money out of his pocket. Philly got 36 from Embiid and beating Cleveland. The Lakers had no LeBron and no Anthony Davis, and they lost at Houston, and that was a game that could have gotten them back to 500. Boston edged Minnesota 104-102. Sacramento beat Chicago. Sacramento and Memphis tied for the 2 seed out west. Dallas, with no Luka or no Kyrie again, managed to beat San Antonio in overtime. Steph Curry with 50, yet the Warriors lost on the road again. They're 7-27 away from home. How can we take them seriously?
Can't.
7-27.
They don't play defense at all. Not that there's a lot of that going around in the NBA, but when it comes time to play it, they don't know how anymore.
What do you mean? They scored 126 points of regulation and lost. What are you saying? McKinnon with the only goal of the shootout. Colorado 2-1 in a shootout over Toronto. Sabres blew a 4-2 mid-third period lead, lost in Washington 5-4. Ovechkin with goal number 817 as he's around 75 away from Gretzky. Minnesota 8-5 over St. Louis. Islanders beat Anaheim. That just means Florida has 2 more points they have to overcome to try to get the last playoff spot.
Yeah, tough night for Florida. They've got to – it's just a matter. They got the games in hand, but now they've got to win them, and I don't know if they've got the ability to do it the way this season's gone for the Panthers. They haven't been able to string together a winning streak, and they're going to have to play some pretty high-level hockey if they're going to catch the Islanders at this point.
World Baseball Classic. U.S. beat Colombia 3-2. Trout drove in all 3 runs. U.S. advances. They'll face Venezuela in the quarters, I believe, on Saturday. I think that game's in Miami. Mexico also advanced out of group. Cuba advanced with a 4-3 win over Australia. But the game of the night was in Miami in front of 36,000. Elimination game between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico won 5-2. Mets closer Edwin Diaz came in. Trumpets blaring. Bottom of the 9th. Struck out all 3 guys on 21 pitches. And then when the players ran out to the mound and jumped on top of him, they blew out his right knee. Yep. World Baseball Classic. In March. Nothing like it.
How you doing right now? Not the show host. How's the Met fan David Moulton doing right now? How were you? Because I'm guessing you didn't watch that. Maybe you did. My guess is you didn't watch the World Baseball Classic. My guess is this morning you got up, you got ready to do the starting 5. You went to your favorite app, the New York Post, and there it was right on the very front of the New York Post webpage. That's my guess. That's how I saw it because I did not watch the World Baseball Classic. And I went, oh, no. And I thought of you, the fan, and all the things that have been going so well as Mets fans with the new owner and everything. So how is the Met fan David Moulton doing right now?
Hawk Harrelson was broadcasting a game for the White Sox one time, and an umpire blew a call. I mean, an egregious error. And Hawk said out loud on the air, "You gotta be bleeping me." And that's exactly what I was thinking at about 4:20 this morning when I saw the news. Yep. Golf. The Valspar at Palm Harbor, which is about 25 miles northwest of Tampa, gets underway today. Scotty Scheffler's Masters menu is out. Feel free to grade it. Did you see it?
I didn't. I saw it and I didn't look at it for whatever reason.
It's very, very Texas. All right. Little tortilla soup. All right. Got an option for an appetizer. You can have a little firecracker shrimp, or you can have cheeseburger sliders. All right. Now, for your entree, you can have a choice: Texas ribeye or blackened redfish. Your sides, by the way, mac and cheese, cream corn, broccoli sprouts, French fries.
Sounds like a clogged artery to me. Give me the ribeye, the mac and cheese, and some French fries.
Dessert, a warm chocolate chip skillet cookie with milk and cookies ice cream.
Love me some cookies and cream ice cream. The cookies and cream milkshake at Chick-fil-A is one of the more underrated milkshakes on the planet.
Okay. All right. So there you go. That's Scheffler's Masters menu. By the way, firecracker shrimp, sliders. Which would you choose? I'd go the shrimp.
Probably the shrimp. In fact, either way, whether I'm having the ribeye or the redfish, I'm going the shrimp.
But I would be the guy who would, I'd have 23 of them.
Here's the thing. I might want the sliders for dessert.
I would go the ribeye over the redfish. I'm a meat guy. Also, since I went the shrimp, it's another reason to go the shrimp. I'm going to go with the beef, so I'll go with the shrimp. And oh yeah, I'm doing the mac and cheese and the cream corn and the fries for that matter. Yeah, I want the artery to clog. I want a medical event during the evening. I don't even want to wait till we get back to the crow's nest or wherever the heck they're putting me. And finally, so the presidents at Arizona State and the University of Arizona were asked how committed to you are the Pac-12. And the Arizona State president said, "We are committed to the Pac-12." And the University of Arizona president said, "Well, I don't think anybody wants to leave, but it depends on the TV deal."
There you go. There's the 6 seconds of truth right there.
So there you have it. So, Commissioner, ball's in your hands. What kind of a deal you got? Just so you know, the Big 12's offering $31 million a team. So I think you know the bar. Good luck. And that, gentlemen, at 8 minutes before the hour is...
That was the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Freddie Freeman left Team Canada because he got hurt. He went back to Braves, or Dodgers, I should say, spring training. He thinks he'll be ready for opening day. This to me is the biggest thing going against the World Baseball Classic. Listen, the Diaz injury is a fluke. I mean, come on. The game was over. The guys come out. They're jumping up and down. It happens once a year in sports where an athlete gets hurt in the post-game celebration. It just so happens to the arguably the best closer in the game yesterday. That's a bad break for the World Baseball Classic and the Mets. But the pitchers aren't ready to go. Hitters aren't ready to go. I mean, Mark, this time in spring training, guys are still running laps in the outfield while the game's taking place.
Right. They're not even playing more than 5 innings at this point.
I mean, this would be the part if I'm the owners in which I'm like, I'm sorry, do you know how much money I'm paying this guy? No, I can't send him there when he's not 100%. And he's going to, Diaz before the game, how important was the game to the players on Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic? Diaz said, this is like Game 7 of the World Series to us.
And if the players love it that much, and show that type of enthusiasm despite the injury. It's something that I think baseball needs and wants because it brings a whole new audience to the sport. But the owners aren't going to let it happen except for in the spring.
By the way, 36
SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Another fun fact, KW, is it's basically the same thing with Chilean sea bass. Not necessarily a trash fish, but a no-taste fish.
Whew. By the way, 36,000 at Marlin Spark or whatever the fuck it is. Man, the Shamrock Shake. I mean, McRib or Shamrock Shake, what's worse?
The McRib.
I agree, but man, the Shamrock Shake was not good.
No, and I like mint. Like I like
do.
mint chocolate chip ice cream. Like in theory, it should be good, and it's not.
No. I'm totally with you, Mark. It's my favorite kind of ice cream, actually, is mint chocolate chip.
The last three that I listed were New Hampshire, Vermont, and Wyoming. DC. So I don't know if you got the rest of it, if that fills that in.
Whew.
I grew up on Breyer's mint chocolate chip, so it doesn't to me.
Right, Johnny Mac. It tastes really good.
$30 seconds. $10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, in a little more than 35 minutes. Roy Cummings to talk some Tampa Bay Bucks next hour. Tim Brando to talk brackets next hour. We'll see who he's taking a flyer on in his bracket.
Which 12 and 13 won't he take? Jimmy B's a mid-major guy.
I know, but picking against Duke, like, I don't think Timmy B will go Oral Roberts. I think he would have against just about anybody else, but I don't think he's going to go against Duke. But we'll see. Tim Brando in an hour and a half here on Miller and Moulton. So the big news for most of yesterday, Aaron Rodgers. By the way, what's the bigger story? Aaron Rodgers going on McAfee's show and, giving out all this news? Or the fact that McAfee on his show is openly talking about walking away from a $120 million deal with DraftKings? Says he's got, quote, a lot going on in his life. Because he's about to become a dad, I think, for the first time and what have you. And I don't know. So anyway, he's making $30 million a year just from DraftKings. And all of a sudden, he's taking the DraftKings logo off his show. And, he says, no, we're still great. But obviously, they're not still great. And so he's talking about walking away from them. Mark, what would have to be going on in your life for you to walk away from a $30 million annual contract that's still at 3 years to go?
It's an impossibility that we can't even discuss on this show, David. I couldn't walk away from $3,000 right now. So trying to discuss walking away from 30 million, it doesn't even compute in my head.
So let's see, 30 million, that's 7 zeros. So I'm trying to think. So in other words, if we took 3 zeros away from that and made it 30,000, I'm pretty sure that I could get you to, stay with that sponsor for another 3 years.
Not a doubt in my mind. It makes me, I right now want to get on my knees in front of Governor DeSantis and start begging him to get the gambling track back on par here.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt. So anyway, just a little sidebar there about our buddy Pat McAfee. And by our buddy, he's rich. We're hoping he's our buddy one day. So back to his guest, Aaron Rodgers. So he goes on the show and, he talks about life and the pursuit of happiness as he'd like to see it unfold.
And here's what Aaron had to say if Felipe wakes up with, here's Aaron Rodgers yesterday on the Pat McAfee show.
At this point, as I sit here, I think since Friday, I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets. And I haven't been holding anything up at this point. It's been compensation that the Packers are trying to get for me and kind of digging their heels in. So I would just, I think it is interesting at this point to step back and look at the whole picture. My side, love and appreciation, gratitude for everything that Green Bay has done for me. So much love and gratitude and just heart open for the Packer fans and what it meant to be their quarterback. And also the reality of the situation, it is what it is. The Packers would like to move on. They've let me know that in so many words. They've let other people know that in direct words. And because I still have that fire and I want to play and I would like to play in New York, it's just a matter of, getting that done at this point.
He went on to also say that basically, listen, this would have happened sooner if I hadn't been playing so well. I mean, when they drafted Jordan Love, we could have gotten to this point sooner, but, first 2 years of Jordan, I threw a couple MVPs up on the board. It's kind of tough for the kid to play when I'm still playing really well. So you could tell he's a little annoyed with them, though. He's like, so let me get this straight. You don't want anything to do with me anymore. All right. Yet you're going to play hardball on the trade. Okay. Okay, great. And then make me out to be the bad guy, like somehow I'm holding this up. Right. Right. Don't get me wrong. I'm a diva, but come on. That's how I translated it yesterday. I'm a diva, but come on now.
Well, Aaron's never been at fault for anything. Just ask Aaron.
Right.
He's nearly a perfect human being. In fact, I think I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop.
Man, I'd love for you to have handled those negotiations over the years. That would I'd empty a savings account just to hear you negotiate with him. I'd get so much enjoyment out of it. But continue.
Well, and I understand that they could make a trade and designate him for a June 1st trading deadline when it is a lot more cap friendly, and I get all of those things. But let me get this straight. And I know that they're done with him and they don't want him back, but does that mean they're supposed to give him away for a bag of used pucks?
Well, it's all about leverage, and both sides think they have it.
Yeah. Who do you think has more right now?
I think every day that goes by, the Jets get more.
Get more?
Yeah. Jets. Right now, the Packers have more leverage. What in the world are the Jets going to do if Aaron Rodgers isn't their quarterback?
Thank you.
But
what are they going to do if Aaron Rodgers isn't their quarterback?
But the Packers need to move on. They need to get him out of the building. They need to not have him in the distraction around. They need to avoid what happened 15 years ago, that training camp with Favre and Rodgers. And they all remember it. They all know how badly it was. They tried to keep him away. Favre basically said, no, I'm going to press the envelope here because you guys aren't doing what I wanted. And they still didn't do what he wanted. They sent him to the Jets. He wanted to go to the Vikings. But remember, Mark, the deal, and part of it was because the deal happened after the draft. The deal was a conditional draft pick. The condition was, how did the Jets fare as a team? If the Jets made the playoffs, the Packers would get a first-round pick. If the Jets didn't make the playoffs, they would get a third-round pick. Jets went 9-7 with Favre, missed the playoffs. Brett Favre was ultimately traded for a third-round pick.
What's Aaron Rodgers worth? Realistically, what do you think this trade should compose of? I mean, a fair trade right now for the Jets and Packers for the services of Aaron Rodgers would be, in your estimation?
I think a second-round pick in this year's draft and a conditional pick in 2024, depending on how the team does.
As high as a first?
Not so sure I'd go first. I think I'd be willing to go third-round pick if we miss the playoffs, second-round pick if we make it.
And if I just said first-round pick if you made the Super Bowl?
Oh, okay.
And I mean, because I want something that says I can get a first-round pick. And I'm not trying to be...
I'd even be willing to say first-round pick if we made it as far as the conference championship game.
Okay.
So I'd give you a second-round pick this year. Remember, the Jets are drafting 13th.
13th.
So I'm guessing their second-round pick is around 44 or 45. So I'd be willing to give that pick to Green Bay. And then a conditional pick next year, which would be a third or a second in all likelihood, because still don't think the Jets are going to go as far as the AFC title game, but they might. So I would dangle that out there because, I mean, let's face it, if you're the Jets and you make it to the AFC championship game, you're drafting 29th, 30th, 31st, or 32nd. It's like, yeah, knock yourself out. Here's another area where I think the Packers don't have as much leverage as you think. You're not acquiring a 30-year-old guy here. And here's a guy who said, take him, his word for what it is you think it's worth. But he's the one that said, I was actually leaning retirement.
Well, his word's not worth anything. He just signed a 3-year deal with the Green Bay Packers last year. His word's worth nothing right now. So that's the question you have of the Jets. Are you going to get him for a year? Are you going to get him for 2? Are you going to get him for 3? I don't think you can count on any more than 2.
I'm with you. And that's why I'm trying really hard not to give up a first-round pick here. Even though this is obviously the best quarterback we've had since Namath. But it's a rental. I mean, if I'm the Jets and I'm really thinking big picture, I'm not going to spend the 13th pick of the draft on a quarterback this year. But you might as well draft the replacement. I mean, to be honest with you, you might as well. Might as well already start thinking about it. I mean, you saved yourself a couple years here with Aaron Rodgers. But if we were asking a poll question of the Jets front office, do you think Aaron Rodgers will be your starting quarterback in 2025? Yes or no? What would win?
I think no.
He's 39. I think he turns 40 during the season, I believe. Now, obviously, we all know what TB12 did, but then again, Tom also kept himself in a little better shape. Diet and everything else.
He wasn't doing hallucinogens in the offseason, as far as we know.
Right. Now, we could argue whether that's a help or a hindrance, but hey. So, but Aaron at least made it official. Hey, if I'm playing this year, I'm playing for the Jets. And I intend to play. Packers are holding up the deal. Back to you in the studio.
And that's where we are with this whole deal is what is the compensation going to be? Packers have dug their heels in. Will something get done quickly? I have no idea because it doesn't seem like Green Bay is in any hurry right now.
Listen, if I'm the Jets, I'm telling you, I'm fine. I'll wait this sucker out. I really will. I will wait it out. But if I'm the Jets, I'm also telling them, just so you know, you're showing up at minicamp. Yes, you are. Okay. We're playing the game here. You're unhappy that they're holding this up? Well, then you show up at minicamp. I'd show up at every Packers team event, charity and otherwise, that you can show up at.
And think about that. Who's the media going to go to? They're all going to run to Aaron. And Aaron's going to tell them all to lose my number, bro.
Is that from going forward? Is that the Schefter treatment now?
Yeah. Lose my number, bro.
If we give someone the Schefter treatment?
Miller and Moulton. Dalton Miller coming up in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Breaking up a goalie fight. I'm going to shoot for EJ Raddick for next Wednesday.
The only thing we don't have is 8:38.
Isn't
because we have Seth.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's what I figured. That's kind of an empty day.
I mean, if you do 8, that'd be awesome.
That's what I was thinking.
If that's too early, then try Tuesday or Thursday
at 8:38.
Yeah.
They never fought. It came close. Benetton was in the scrum, and the other goalie came the link to the ice, but they never. The linesman had the St. Louis goalie.
That was on TNT.
Is that the second game?
Yeah. Whew. By the way, Steve Kerr with a very classy gesture last night. There's a guy behind the scenes in the network TV business who's a bit of a legendary stats guy. His name's Pat McGrath. And McGrath works with all the big play-by-play guys. I mean, he worked with Lindsey Nelson and Jack Buck, and he's 50 plus years he's been doing this. And he was just with Nance at the Big Ten tournament Sunday. And apparently he died overnight in the hotel room and they found him Monday in the hotel room when he didn't show up in California for an NBA game. And Steve Kerr, after the game last night in Los Angeles, said, "Hey, before I answer any questions of the game," and Kerr said, "I just want to send my condolences out to Pat McGrath and his family." And he talked for about a minute about, Pat was very helpful to me in my TV days and great guy. And, and McGrath is known in the industry as like the stats guy.
What makes someone the stats guy? Quickness?
Yes. Very good at math and never getting a number wrong. Yards per play, the punt, the return, all that. And you not only have to figure it out very quickly to give it to the announcer, but you also, as you're giving it to the announcer on a card, you have to say it to the truck so they could type it in, because it might be a graphic on the screen instantly, and to update the stats and all that. So the stat guy is very important to the broadcast, not just for what he's given the play-by-play guy, but he's given the truck all the information, and the information has to be the same. So, I mean, him and Nestler worked together for 24 years. Big M, little C, big G, R-A-T-H, Pat McGrath. I'll bet you Nance does something.
Oh, they did something. I mean, they talked about him on the
True TV thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
put a picture of him up on screen.
Yeah.
And
he was just going to start slowing down too. He was going to do this year's Final Four and just start slowing down.
10 seconds.
He's 72, I think he was.
Young.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, will join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Roy Cummings at the top of the hour. Tim Brando, a little more than an hour. We'll get Timmy B's thoughts on the brackets. Got your brackets done? Come on now. 4.5 hours. Got to have them in. Mine are a mess. I will say, I saw Brando post something on Twitter late yesterday afternoon, and he did his bracket by hand. So there's a couple cross-outs. I think if I remember his bracket correctly, I think he originally wrote in Oral Roberts and crossed it out. I think he's taking a little flyer on Creighton. He did all that Big East stuff. You figure he's got to take a flyer on one of those Big East teams. So I think I'm going to ride Shaka a little bit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The only stat that I gave you that I thought was interesting is of Marquette and Purdue. They are the two unranked teams from the preseason poll that ended up being a 1 and a 2 seed. No team that has ever been not ranked in the preseason top 25 that ended up as a 1 or a 2 seed has made it to the Final Four. On average, they win no more than 2 games.
And that is my fear. My fear is Marquette basically, has this been a magic carpet ride of a season, and does the bubble burst in the tournament where reality usually strikes? I got to admit, why was Purdue unranked? I know they lost the lottery pick, but they didn't lose everybody off last year's team. Number one, which went to the Sweet 16 and should have gone to the Elite Eight. I mean, all they had to do was beat St. Peter's, for goodness sakes. But, the big fella was coming back. I mean, I'm surprised that Purdue was unranked, to be honest.
I'm with you there.
Now, what's more shocking? Purdue unranked or Carolina was ranked number 1?
Well, that has not aged well.
Woo-wee.
Michigan was a top 10 preseason team, not in the tournament.
Damn. The hits just keep on coming. I mean, these preseason basketball rankings, I mean, you can't be in the same sentence as preseason college football rankings, okay? That's not a good sentence to be in terms of accuracy. But can we just get Texas and Texas A&M in the second round, please?
All I'm looking forward to. And Texas A&M's got to play Penn State. That's going to be a tough game.
Yep.
Both coming off of poor performances. And Penn State played okay, but was just outmanned against Purdue. They made a run. They were kind of held at arm's length throughout most of that Big Ten championship game and made a late run, made it close at the end, but didn't really seem to be in it. Their best player did not have a great game, and A&M was just beat down by Alabama. Alabama played a game that looks like they can't lose in the SEC championship, and A&M was on the other side of that.
By the way, two teams who lost in their Power 6 conference finals, and one's a 7 and one's a 10.
They don't put any stock into the conference tournaments. They don't even matter.
No. Well, Shelby told us that throughout the season when we had him on. He said that, listen, I've been paying attention to the committee. The committee just treats the conference tournament as another game. They do not put added importance on it. He goes, unless you go win the damn conference tournament. Otherwise, just another game. No more important. Okay. All right. And can FAU win? I mean, I have to admit, that ain't an easy draw. Memphis is talented. And they're playing their best basketball. Now, they got Houston without their best player in the conference final. So take that at what you will. But, I mean, that's a tough draw. I mean, when you win 31 games and you're playing a team that's more talented than you, that's a tough draw.
And for the first time since Penny has been there, they have an experienced team. We've talked about this.
Yep. I have to admit, the former players, I mean, you know, Jawan didn't have a good year, but Penny had a good year. Jerry Stackhouse at Vandy had a good year. Now Damon Stoudemire's getting the Georgia Tech job. This is interesting. What's going on here?
Yeah, but Juwan Howard's got to turn it around at Michigan because that was a very underachieving year for the Wolverines on the hard court.
Very much so. Well, but fortunately, his relationships with the other coaches and the officials, you know, everything's okay.
It's that time once again for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you got?
Well, you know, before Edwin Diaz got injured, it was a super fun night in Miami last night with the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico playing. Francisco Lindor had a Little League home run.
Third inning. Got the second run home. Now he lights this one to center field, and that's another hit for Lindor. And it gets by Rodriguez. And Lindor is off to the races. To second. Heading for third. We'll see if they send him. And they are going to send him. The ball's bobbled. Lindor all the way home.
So an inside the park home run for Francisco Lindor, but I will say, awful job fielding that ground ball that was headed right towards Julio Rodriguez in center field. I mean, come on. But Little League home run, World Baseball Classic. We're having fun. Baseball. Baseball, baseball, baseball.
36,000 on hand. It was raucous. Tim Reynolds, who we like, who won't come on the show, but we love him anyway.
Like
him. Right. AP out of Miami. And he just sent out a tweet in the early innings basically saying, this is wild. And he had wild, you know, spelled over like 3 lines. The atmosphere.
That's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Clutch Vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Look for it wherever you buy your vodka. If they don't have it, ask them when they're going to start stocking Clutch Vodka.
The winner of the United States Venezuela plays Cuba in Miami on Sunday. That game will be bedlam.
Yeah, Cuba's already through to the semis, which is interesting. You know, the way they have it done, you know, like there were certain formulas for one side of the bracket and certain formulas for the other. Cuba beat Australia 4-3, and they advanced to the semis. The U.S. is in the quarters on Saturday. They play Venezuela. So
I'm not going to even act like I try to understand what they're doing in the World Baseball Classic. It's being played in March. I will say this. I would have loved to have been at that game last night in Miami. Like U.S. Cuba would be cool. Venezuela Cuba might be even cooler. I don't know if U.S. fans show up and start chanting USA for a baseball game. I have no idea.
No, the ultimate American, like Latin American matchup is the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. I think.
We got that in a text as well.
I mean, that's an all-star game.
Someone said it's like the Yankees-Red Sox. It's that intense.
Yes. I mean, again, I went to a game in 2013, that exact matchup. Think about who is in Major League Baseball in 2013 from both of those countries. And it was the greatest baseball experience I've ever had in my entire life.
Well, and we have heard that from quite a few people in the last week or so who have taken in games either in Miami and even took in some spring training games throughout Florida where some of the teams were getting ready for the World Baseball Classic. And I'm just, if you're Major League Baseball, don't you have to wonder, is there something you can do and allow into the stands? You know, like vuvuzelas are banned. Should we bring them back? Garbage cans, bongos. Come on.
I'm down with bongos.
Everything but vuvuzelas, just because it sounds like a bee is buzzing through the stadium.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore.
That's fine. Okay. But I just think maybe we should rethink some things. That's all. So you're okay with the bongos. What about
anytime
trash
we have
cans?
some sort of a drum line going on, David, I'm in. I don't care where it's at. You give me a drum line, I'm in. Dalton Miller's in. He's next to talk NFL free agency, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, and all things pertaining to the league. That's next on Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Seminoles, we were talking about it yesterday. Throughout the show. It would have to be entirely new fans, because clearly the fans they have, one, there aren't enough of them, and two, they're not into it.
Also, another thing about the World Baseball Classic is that people as a whole just are different when it comes to rooting for your whole country.
Totally.
Of course.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's why the World Cup is beautiful.
Right. Which is why I think this thing in July would work. Like even Americans can put themselves for 2 hours into the shoes of another fan base when they know the story that so-and-so, hasn't done something in X number of years. And we're like, oh, we can relate to this.
David, I've thought about it more, and I agree with you. I just still don't think it's possible or will happen.
Well, I don't think it will happen, but it's possible.
Oh, okay, yeah, true. It's possible, but
I actually think the biggest thing going for it are the injuries. I think you sell it and go, listen, guys, a lot less likely to get hurt in July than March.
right, but
The owners are the ones assuming all the risk here.
it sounds horrible, but a few injuries for the entire sport to grow exponentially. I mean, come on now. And plus, sports, people play, get injured. It happens all the time.
But like my buddy who went earlier this week, and he went to a Venezuela something game in Miami, and he sat around those people from, what was it, Boca, West Palm?
Yeah.
Who, have lived on the East Coast 20, 30 years, never been to a Marlins game. And we're at the World Baseball Classic. That's where, if you're the Marlins, you got to be working the crowd. You got to be finding out, what would it take? Why is it you're not interested in us?
I think Major League Baseball needs bans. I think they need to normalize bans at games.
Normalize what?
Bans. Like how college football has bans. Throw bans in baseball.
What the hell are you talking about?
Well, I will say this, it's one of the big failings of FGCU. They don't have a good pep ban. Like, the difference in an atmosphere of an FGCU basketball game when they invite the Baron Collier band, okay, their traveling pep band, and when those 20 people show up and are at the FGCU game, the difference in the atmosphere of that game because of those 15, 20 band members is staggering.
A good band.
What happened to the
can do a
FGCU
lot.
band?
It
disappeared. They used to have a pep band. When I was doing the games, there was that little pep band there.
It's still there. They're pretty. They're decent. I mean, they're not like anything crazy. They're not like FAMU or whatever.
No.
Or hell, even University of Miami's Frost Band of the Hour. But no, what were you gonna say?
No, I was going to respond to DC. Yeah, DC, you might be in the minority, though, going forward. The people that are attending these games, who have attended standard traditional games, are raving about the atmosphere.
Right, and I can level with DC. I got to call Dalton now because baseball's calm and it's kind of like a picnic. You can just breathe, and then something exciting happens. But I mean, what sells more?
They're in the entertainment industry.
Would you rather be drunk and calm or drunk and rowdy?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Roy Cummings will join us coming up at the top of the hour. We'll talk a little Tampa Bay Bucks, the moves they are making, the players they are letting go. Tim Brando, 1 hour from now, we'll talk brackets. Hoping to catch up with Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. We'll see about that. Did you just fill out your bracket one quick boom, or was this?
Yes.
It was torturous for me. It really was. It was not easy.
It was not difficult for me because I don't watch college basketball nonstop the way I once did. I wasn't going to sit and read matchup pages for 4 hours to fill out a bracket for a $10 pool. And I'm of the opinion no one's going to do that well in these brackets anyhow. This is a complete crapshoot. So if I do well on this, great. But I didn't spend a whole lot of time watching Furman basketball this year. Now, based on the point spread and who they are, I think they've got a really good shot of beating Virginia. If they don't, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But that's where I had kind of picked some of my upsets. I have both Charleston and Furman winning.
Okay. I have Charleston going to the Sweet 16.
As do I, which means they'll lose their first game. Write it down. This is, David and I don't talk about our brackets. We don't share what we do on these things. It's the first time we've actually shared with one another what we've been doing with brackets.
I have to admit, the region that I think all holy heck could transpire, I just think is the East. The East just seems weak to me. K-State is a 3. I mean, I love the Keontae Johnson story, the Gator who collapsed and, gave up the $5 million insurance policy to continue playing. And he's had a wonderful year. And K-State's had a wonderful year. Shaka and Marquette have had a tremendous year. I mean, that would be, talk about two fan bases who really care and seasons that were far better than expected. I mean, Marquette K-State would be a tremendous Sweet 16 if you're, a hoop head. But I don't know. I just think that to me, it's got the weakest group in it. I think the winner of Duke Oral Roberts, Mark, can quite frankly win a lot of games.
Yeah, I think Oral Roberts would have a big-time problem with Purdue.
Okay.
With the big fella. But Tennessee as a 4 is overseeded.
Yeah, I got
Kentucky
Louisiana
as a 6 is overseeded. Michigan State, I was surprised, was a 7. I thought they might be an 8 or 9 the way they finished the season.
I agree. Say this about USC. USC can get off to slow starts. They've done so in tournament games too, which has come back to bite them. Cost them in the Pac-12 tournament as well. Got off to a bad start against Arizona State. Couldn't come all the way back.
Good news for USC is that Michigan State can't score. So it's tough to get off to much of a bad start against a team that struggles finding ways to score the basketball.
I try really hard not to think that a team is going to, if they had a great conference tournament, that's the team that's going to show up.
When in doubt, I picked against the Big Ten.
Interesting.
When in doubt, I picked against the Big Ten. Probably the conference I've watched as much of as any other. And when in doubt, I picked the Big 12. With the exception of Iowa State, because they can't score the basketball. So that's kind of how I looked at this as a whole. And recency bias is killing me. I shouldn't have done it. I watched Alabama play that SEC tournament final game, and they looked unstoppable.
Did you see where they have hired an armed security guard for Brandon Miller?
Yes. How big is this story going to get if they keep winning?
Well, it all depends on how big a deal Turner and CBS want to make of it. I mean, Greg Gumbel caught heat for just what he said introducing Alabama as the number 1 overall seed and what have you. And he used the phrase, sidestepped, a murder charge or something like that.
Yeah, sidestepped a capable murder, I thought is what he said. But yes, right. Something along those lines.
Yeah. And he was catching heat for that. And of course, my question is, from which side? I mean, did you give him grief because he actually brought it up, or did you give him grief because he, well, kind of sort of sidestepped what it is that was going on? I mean, say it. So,
Which I'm sorry, but is he cleared to play?
yes.
100%. He's been playing throughout.
Then can we just play basketball?
No.
Can we just talk about basketball here?
No, actually, he brought a gun to a guy that killed someone. I think it's a relevant story.
Okay. Is it actively under investigation?
The murder is. He's not under any investigation right now, but this is a team that had a player involved in a murder during the season, and they're the number 1 ranked team in the country. No. I do think it's a story.
He was a former player, but yes.
Well, he was on the team when the year started. And then he killed a guy, or his friend killed a guy, with his gun, so they kicked him off the team. It's still a story, Felipe.
But to bring up during the game.
Well, I think you're negligent if you're broadcasting the game if at some point you don't bring it up. First off, most people didn't watch Alabama play basketball this year. See, that's the other thing that, we're in sports. We pay attention. We watch. Most people who watch the tournament, they haven't watched college basketball all year. They're unaware, by the way, of the Brandon Miller. They don't even know who the hell Brandon Miller is. I mean, over half the people watching the tournament have no idea who this guy is. And 3/4 of them certainly don't know the story. And that's why, and the Alabama fan and Felipe and others are going to give CBS and Turner grief when they retell this story the deeper they go into the tournament. Well, it's because now you got a whole audience who has no idea what you're talking about. They're like, oh, wow, really?
Why do they need an armed guard for one of their players?
Right. I mean, that right then and there, if you didn't want to bring this up, okay, the fact that the university felt that one of their players needed an armed guard to be with them at the games. Well, why is that? Well, now you got to tell the story.
And the further they go, it gets beyond the in-game broadcast and whether the Good Morning Americas, the NBC Newses are going to take this story to a whole different level. That's the way the news media works.
Now, Felipe, deep down, I'm with you. Deep down, okay, A, innocent until proven guilty, but also B, certainly innocent if not charged. Okay, and that's why, and while it pains me, okay, I mean, I think, what they're doing to Trevor Bauer is, and this is a dangerous word to say, but I mean, it's unfair. I mean, the grand jury did not put charges on him. He's been blackballed from baseball. The legal system has said he did not do anything wrong. What other system are we supposed to use?
By the way, he just signed to Japan. You know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because no one in the States will sign him.
Well,
he's been blackballed from Major League Baseball.
Right. But, I mean, this is where, when I was younger, I was more hardline on this. And actually, somebody who convinced me a little bit to change my tune was Bobby Bowden. I used to listen to him talk. He took a lot of grief for how he disciplined players. And his thing was basically, listen, guys, you really want me to do something before somebody even gets charged? Okay. I mean, I went into their living rooms. I recruited these kids. I looked at their parents. I said, and then what if all of a sudden I turn into this dictator? They're not even charged with something wrong. And you want me to suspend them or kick them off the team? Is that really how we want to operate? No, it isn't. I mean, I'd at least like to be charged with something before I get fired. I got to be honest. I'd really hate to be fired over an allegation. I'd like it to be an actual charge. I mean, could you have a perp walk of me in it, please, before you fire me? That's really all I'm asking.
And how the coach came off with his comments didn't look good.
No. Oh, no, he made it worse twice.
So they will rehash this.
But it's certainly worth talking about. I mean, there are people in the Twitch chat room. I'm looking at it right now. They don't think he should be playing. Clay Travis doesn't think he should be playing.
So it's just one of the stories that I'm fascinated. The longer Alabama goes in this tournament, they've got an armed guard with their best player who's going to be a lottery pick.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the second player picked in the draft after the
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama.
Victor Wembanyama.
How's that again?
Victor Wembanyama.
If you don't say the Victor, doesn't that sound like a delicacy?
Wembanyama?
Yes.
Wembanyama.
Or where did you go last night? Wembanyama's.
It could be that. Could be a restaurant, a trendy restaurant, or, well, what were you thinking of having? Well, I've heard the Wembanyama's are good. I mean, Felipe, say it. Give me that little bit of roll that you try to do when every now and then, you emphasize that part of your heritage.
Victor Wembanyama.
Say the last part again.
Wembanyama.
I mean, don't you think that's like, $11.99 entree?
Wembanyama.
Sounds delicious.
I know. Can I get two?
You always want two. One could be enough with this. Could be like a chimichanga. I mean, they're pretty big.
Well, he's as tall as two David Moultons, so there you go.
See? I mean, think about it. Maybe that's backing up your argument. Apparently, there's a lot to this Wembanyama. But I'm inclined to order two.
When aren't you inclined to order two?
Exactly. Thank you.
Miller and Moulton. Talking a little brackets, Alabama and what's up for them. Because I have Alabama winning the whole thing, David.
Do you really?
I have Alabama winning the whole thing.
Wow. If so, this could be the greatest year in the history of SEC sports. They might literally win every major NCAA championship. Man, if Alabama wins the men's basketball championship, isn't that just like rubbing everybody else's nose in it? You know what? We're letting Georgia have their moment, okay? We're going to rip your heart out. We're going to cut down the nets.
You know that really going to piss off Kentucky. What are we even here for? This was our job in this whole thing.
Oh, that's so true. That is so true. And Adam wonders in our Twitch chat room, will Saban come to the Final Four if they go to a game? I think he will.
I think he kind of has to. He won't want to. I mean, he was at one regular season game this year.
Him and Miss Terry sitting in the front row.
Because the problem is at the Final Four, all the other basketball coaches are there. It's their big convention. So he'll have all kinds of coaches walking up to him wanting to take a picture, and he'll have no interest in that whatsoever.
I don't know. It gives him an excuse to go and get a good new dye job for his hair. I think he'll take advantage of it. Besides, Geico might want him there. Who knows how many ads they've bought in this.
Well, yeah, they've been running the Coach K with the ads now, too. So maybe they'll put both of them in an ad for the Final Four.
Maybe that'll be who's sitting in the front row. It'll be Coach K. It'll be Nick Saban. It'll be Dion. Right there. Here you go. Our Geico club seats.
Giving Capital One a run for their money with Willie Nelson jumping into the fray now.
You know, Johnny Mack brings up a very good point. Final Four weekend, what's the tournament before the Masters? You know, if you're Justin Thomas, that Alabama grad, if Alabama's in the Final Four, I hope you're not playing the week before Augusta. You might have to WD before Saturday. Miller and Moulton. Roy Cummings to talk about the Bucks, the moves they've made, the players they've shipped out. Tim Brando in 45 minutes here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Yeah,
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Good morning, Roy.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Very good, thanks. Good to be back with you.
I feel like I'm talking to a lawyer. With all those books behind me.
I know.
So impressive.
It's a different office.
You could go into the Anchorman, the rich mahogany.
Yeah, it's all right.
What's the last thing you read?
Currently reading Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton. I think I've got the dust jacket right there.
Ah.
Very informative. Great book.
I bet it is.
Yeah, it really is.
I had a class that was the history of the U.S. between 1790 and 1860, like post-revolutionary,
there you go.
civil. And it was a really short period of time that was pretty intense, and a lot of it was on Hamilton. And it was one of my favorite classes I ever had in college.
Yeah. He's kind of the forgotten founder of the country, and boy, oh boy, what a role he played. I mean, man, oh man, he was involved in everything, including our current banking system, which even way back in the day, the first Secretary of the Treasury.
Yeah, I don't know who was more important, Jefferson or Hamilton. I'd argue.
At the end of the day, well, based on what I've read so far, and I'm about halfway through the book, I'm going to say Hamilton. Now, it's a book about Hamilton, but Jefferson had some different ideas about how things were supposed to be. Hamilton really put it out there in terms of if all the states didn't come together and basically be under one umbrella with the federal government, it wasn't going to work. He had some ideas to make that happen. But hey, how about them Bruins?
You know what? When they lost their second in a row, we said what they needed was don't look at any tape, don't even have a practice. Call a team meeting, and when the guys get there, have the team bus be ready. You put them on the bus, you go to Topgolf, you spend 4 hours, you get
Hell of an
hammered.
idea.
You get hammered, you play Topgolf, the whole deal. You bring them back to the hotel, you let them all sleep it off. Then the
Boy.
next day you return to hockey.
Great idea.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Long season. They're obviously bored.
They're bored.
Yeah.
And, how hard can you press to win a regular season record?
Right.
When no one cares about regular season records.
Yeah. I think it was Brad Marchand said, doesn't matter. And he's right. It doesn't. As many times as that President's Trophy winners got knocked out in the first round, forget it.
All right, guys, we got to listen a minute. 30 seconds. Roy, yes or no? Have you watched any World Baseball Classic?
A few innings here and there. I mean, I love the idea, but boy, and I'm such a diehard baseball fan, but I give me to the regular season.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And it is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, in which we celebrate a lot, including the madness underway in 4 hours with a full bracket, if you will. Get your brackets in if you haven't already. It's also the first full day of NFL free agency. Right. Roy Cummings covers the Bucks. Bay News 9, pewterpirates.com, that whole thing. Follow Roy on Twitter, rcummings, FHCN, rcummings, FHCN. How's your NFL offseason going?
Hey, you know what? For Bucks fans, it's going pretty well. I got to think that yesterday, the Bucks came out of that as good as any team in the NFL. First day, they had a pretty good haul there for day one for them.
What surprised you most? To us, Levante David Stain, for the number that he did, was my biggest surprise. What was yours?
Well, to be honest, I think the bigger surprise is Jamel Dean sticking around. To me, and that happened a couple of days ago. But to me, that's even bigger because I think Levante David always wanted to be here. I think he was going to take a hometown discount. He was going to make it happen. Financially, he would worry about that later. I think he wants to be a Buccaneer for his entire career, and I think he was going to try to make that happen. Jamel Dean, on the other hand, guys, a chance to really cash out. And for whatever reason, the safeties are finding out that it just isn't the market for them this year. I don't know if there's collusion going on or not. It seems that way with the quarterbacks a little bit, certainly Lamar Jackson. But I think it might be happening with the safeties too, because not quite the cash haul that they were expecting, I think, there.
Well, don't you think it's because there's so many of them on the market at the same time?
Yeah, and again, it's, look, it's a very important position, but NFL teams sometimes look at safeties and say, okay, you know what, we can always move a fleet linebacker back there. We can always move a corner over there. I'm not saying it's an easy position to fill, and it's not an easy position to play. You have to have a lot of skills, but with the athleticism of players these days, the ability for guys to kind of be versatile, move around a little bit, they're not as hard to find. And yes, you want a good one, a great one. Jamel Dean is in the category of the really good ones, and but at the end of the day, the market's a little bit glutted. So yeah, that's part of it too.
We really thought Baker Mayfield should have been a Buck last year. We thought it was in his best interest to go play under a Tom Brady, learn, figure out how to be a pro again, and then assume the role after Brady left. Well, it didn't work out that way, but he's in a Buccaneers uniform now. Your thoughts on Baker Mayfield joining the Bucs?
Yeah, look, first of all, I love the pick. I am a Baker Mayfield fan. I'm not saying that I think he's a top-tier quarterback. I think he's looking up at that group. He's kind of got his fingers on the edge there. He'd like to be a part of it. And I think he can be. As you guys said, if he'd have spent a year under Tom Brady, that might have helped him. But a year ago, he's still coming off being the starter for the Browns, who had, ideas of being a playoff team, didn't quite work out, had opportunities to go elsewhere, continue to show what he could do. It just didn't quite work out. He went to teams that were bad. My concern about Baker Mayfield is, once again, he's going to go to a team that's kind of bad. The good news is he's going to have plenty of weapons around him. I think that's good. I think this may be our best look at what Baker Mayfield can do. Look, he's gambling on himself. A one-year proven contract. I like the contract for the Bucs. I like the player, like the pick. I think it's a win-win for all around on this one.
How much of a shot do you think he gets at winning the starting job? Do you think this is an old school quarterback competition, or do you think it's Trask's job until the day comes that the coaches look at one another and go, I don't think he's good enough?
No, I think it's a wide open competition, and I think it should be. Number one, it's got to be a wide open competition because, as I just said, Baker Mayfield, I think, could be a top-tier quarterback, but he's not there. He's got to prove himself worthy of the position. I think he'll do that. If he can't do it, that says a lot about Baker Mayfield, and that'll be the end for him. He'll become, a backup somewhere here, obviously, for a year. But I don't think Kyle Trask is ready, and I'm starting to wonder if Kyle Trask will ever be a starting caliber quarterback in this league. Kyle Trask is at the bottom tier for me among quarterbacks. To me, he's barely a backup on an NFL roster at this point from what I've seen of him play, not just in the preseason, but in the regular season too. Not much, but not a fan of what I've seen. Baker Mayfield should win this competition going away.
Baker Mayfield reportedly signed a one-year deal, minimum $4 million, could earn as much as $8.5 million. So think about it. If he's a solid starter, what a bargain that is to only have to pay your starting quarterback that, Mark.
And Roy, I mean, to me, so far, you got to commend the Bucs. They got David back on the cheap. They've been able to re-sign a few players here, and they're doing this with being very up against the cap. So to get Mayfield where they did, Tampa's executing pretty good business right now. Are there any more cuts you're expecting to see come?
I don't think there's any more cuts. I'll be a little surprised. I think they've done that. And right now, guys, the MVP of the Buccaneers through the first few days of free agency here is their executive vice president, Mike Greenberg. He is their salary cap guy. He is a wizard. Known Mike for years. Love him. Tremendous cap guy. And he did all the legwork here. He's the one who created the room, restructured the contracts. They restructured 4 or 5 of those contracts. Chris Godwin was in there, Vita Vea. And you know what? That's got to happen. You still had to cut some guys. But that happens as well. Look, when you're a top-tier team, or at least top-tier in terms of salary, you face these difficulties, and he's handled it as well as anybody. So they've created room to go fishing a little bit. Let's see what they come up with. Can they find a left tackle in free agency? Is it worth finding? I'm not sure, but they still have a couple of needs.
Do you think they move Wirfs from right tackle to left tackle and then try to find a right tackle, which is usually easier to find and certainly cheaper? They only have really one running back that they're crazy about right now. So you would have to think maybe that's a position that gets addressed either cheap in free agency or in the draft. I mean, this was a below 500 team last year, and they're not as good on paper, obviously, right now as they were at the end of last year.
Yeah, I like the idea of moving Tristan Wirfs to left tackle. My concern is he's such a damn good right tackle. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think there's options in the draft for them. I think that's where they find their guy. I mean, when you think about it, Donovan Smith could re-sign with these guys. There aren't a lot of left tackles or even right tackles out there in free agency. They're going to get paid. You could do worse than Donovan Smith, but I think at the end of the day, to me, I spend my first round draft pick on a left tackle. That's what I spend my first pick on. I maneuver within the draft. There's, a couple of guys there around where they want to pick. Steen is one that you could look at. A kid from Oklahoma. There's another one from Alabama. So I kind of like the idea of drafting a left tackle for them if you don't want to move Wirfs. And if you want to move Wirfs, well, then you can probably get a tackle in the second or third round. Running back, there's a report out there today that says the Bucs are interested in Ezekiel Elliott. I'm sure they're interested. I don't think they can afford him. I'll be surprised if that happens. And you know what? I still think the Buccaneers are one of those teams that doesn't want to overpay for a running back. They got what they needed to. Leonard Fournette was worth every penny. But I don't think they want to pay big money for a veteran running back. They like Rachaad White. They like Keyshawn Vaughn. They do a decent job of picking up running backs in the draft, and they've got the picks. I think that's another draftable spot for me.
And it's a huge area of depth in this draft as well. So, yeah. Roy, I'm with you. If they're going to get another running back, there's no sense of paying for it when there are plenty of positions that they have to pay for that are out there. Offensive line, if they wanted to draft, that's fine. If they want to bring back Smith, I think we all just got called for a holding penalty, even discussing bringing back Donovan Smith at left tackle. So I would like to see them do it in the draft. But is there any chance of, between now and this thing, it looks as if this isn't any sort of a teardown. I mean, it looks as if they believe going in that they can still compete. Do you still sense there any chance of a trade and them moving any other players, or are we pretty much status quo?
No, I think they could be involved in a trade. Look, they've got some depth at a couple. Obviously, wide receiver is a spot they can move a couple of guys. Maybe even the secondary. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think they want to trade bodies right now. And I think they're gonna want to add picks rather than move them or delete them from their list. So trading is going to be a little bit dicey for them. But I will be surprised if they don't maneuver their way up and down the first or second round in the draft. Jason Light loves to do that, does a great job of it usually. So I think they're going to position themselves well for the draft. They'll pick up a second tier or third tier tackle here in free agents. They've got a little bit of money to play with. And if they have to restructure a couple more contracts, Mike Greenberg will do his wizardry. So I think they could. I think they are. I think they are competitive within this division. I don't think they're competitive as a Super Bowl contender, but I think they're competitive within the division. Could actually win the division because it's a bit weak.
So you think the Bucs right now are threading the needle? Because I'm in favor of the teardown. To me, they needed to be much bolder than this.
Yeah, I think the teardown is another year away. I think they're taking their shot and saying, okay, let's see what we can do with a quarterback who's had some success, with the receiving core we've got, with the defense we have. If we're able to retain some of these guys, we can play 500 football, give or take. And it's obviously you hope give. Or take rather, and what you want is you want to win 8-9 games. If you can win 8-9 games, you can win this division. So I think they feel like they could be a division champion in this division the way it is, as much turmoil as there is, and I think they feel like, look, the teardown may have to wait.
All right, 30 seconds. Do you agree with this assessment? They need at least one more running back. They need at least one more tight end. They need 2 more offensive linemen. They need an edge rusher. That's still their needs.
In an ideal world, yes. Bringing back Anthony Nelson helps at edge. It's not what you want. They're expensive, hard to figure out. Might have to pull up some, might have to go scour for that. The offensive lineman, yes. The running back, no. But the offensive and the tight ends, obviously, you have to have some tight ends. Although the system's going to change. It's not Tom Brady's system anymore. You don't need both of those tight ends. You know what? I don't think Cameron Brate really wants to go anywhere. Don't be surprised if he comes back and plays a little bit more than he has in the past.
He's Roy Cummings, Bay News 9, PeterPirates.com. Follow him on Twitter, rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. By the way, the book he is currently reading is Hamilton, and he is raving about it. Roy, thanks for joining us as always. Enjoy the madness.
Enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Huge Rays fan. 2 weeks from today, the season gets underway. He loves his baseball.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And I'm interested to see where the Bucs go from here, because I think you've convinced me that they're not good enough and it should be a teardown. They've not convinced themselves that they're ready for a teardown. Miller and Moulton, Tim Brando in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Interesting stat here, David. Warren Sharp tweeted it out yesterday, but because Twitter doesn't do a timeline anymore, it just pops up randomly. Career earnings for NFL running backs through 2022.
Saw that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We could share it with the audience. So
I didn't think it was a bad thing because there's only one of them that's currently playing.
Isn't he number 2, though?
Yeah. Yeah. That, and according to a Kay Adams tweet that I just saw, the new updated odds have the Jets as the 4th betting favorite in the AFC. Joel Embiid's 29. For some reason, I thought he was younger than that.
Yeah, he was drafted in 2014. You have to remember. He missed his first 2 seasons.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's his birthday today.
Yeah.
So just that one, like 29. I thought he was like 27.
It's crazy, though. Yeah. He does still seem, I mean, he's young. 29 isn't that old, but it's getting there.
Flavor Flav 64. That one hit me a little hard.
Flavor Flav. By the way, Joel's catching up. to Jokic on the MVP ladder. I know me.
Thanks for letting me know
Me
that.
and my damn MVP award. But watch out for JoJo.
So a buddy of mine texts me during that last interview and says, per your bracket conversation earlier, driving to work, his wife calls. Who won the Arizona State-Nevada game? He says, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. I need to know who's playing Gonzaga. No, you don't. It's all for the $5 teacher pool.
My daughter reached out to me last week and is like, I can't get a bracket. And I go, listen, you moron, they're not out till Sunday night. Oh, okay. Don't call me a moron. I did well in the brackets last year. I go, I know. And by the way, my daughter did do well. You know what her formula was? She picked teams that had blue in it.
It's a good formula.
I like that. The Blue Bloods.
You know, I think ESPN kind of missed the boat with their ads for that because they've got the Notre Dame ad and they're not anywhere near the tournament. You know, fighting Irish. They're going to win it. Go with your gut for their.
Oh no, it's Huskies.
Well, they've got different.
They have an
ones.
Irish one as well.
They got a Notre Dame one. They hopefully have taken out. But they had Creighton one.
Yeah, the Husky one. It's like, oh, this shirt. It's a little tight. It's a little husky. Huskies win on a buzzer-beating 3. Yeah, the whole Final Four last year was blue. I really like that strategy. I think I'm going to make a blue bracket. Although,
think about it.
Houston and
Carolina, okay, both make the Final Four. Kansas ends up winning it all.
Right.
Oh, they bring in a new pitcher and Japan's already knocking him 2 pitches in. Oh, yeah.
What channel is that on?
Is this FS2? Japan,
Wow.
Italy, live.
Tell you what, there's a trivia question to everybody. Hey, find FS2.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It has been a while, but Tim Brando will join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. So have you ever filled out a bracket for, the obscure reason? Like my daughter did really well in the brackets last year, and it was simply because she went with colors and she decided I'm picking teams that have blue in them. And so she had a really good year. Duke and Carolina in the Final Four, Kansas winning it all. I mean, she had a good year. Gentleman in our Twitch chat room was listening to our discussion during the break. His old girlfriend made one based on most ferocious mascots. Play the mascot name. Who do you like, Eagles or Terriers? Oh, I'll take the Terriers. All right. Whatever.
Mark, you letting your daughter get involved in the brackets this year?
I probably should have, but she did not have much interest. She a little bit too much going on to worry about college basketball in her world right now.
Okay. All right.
It's a lot of
time.
teams.
It's got time.
She'll be inundated, though, by the time we get home tonight when the TVs are all set up and I say, I'll talk to you on Monday, sweetie.
Oh, man.
Appreciate your honesty, though. I got your back.
You can either learn about the madness and sit right with me, or you can go play on your tablet. Matters not to me. I'd prefer you sit next to me. I'd love to teach you a little bit about it. But if you have no interest, then I'm fine with that too.
But your mom's taken 2 trips in the last month or so. So if you need to spend a few days with her, that's fine also. Because I'm busy from noon to midnight. Assume that for the next 4 days. I'm busy from noon to midnight. True TV, come on. If you haven't found it, if you didn't watch the play-ins, you better find it. That's all we're saying. CBS, TNT, TBS, True TV. Just know your channels.
Saw an interesting tweet, David. involving football. Ezekiel Elliott was cut. Zeke is one of the highest paid running backs ever. Warren Sharp put out a list of the career earnings for NFL running backs through last season. Zeke ranks number 2 all time.
Well, he got paid twice.
And in a day when this list, Adrian Peterson's number 1 with $103 million. Zeke's 2 with a little under $71 million. Edgerrin James, little under $69 million, is 3rd. Frank Gore is 4th. Reggie Bush is 5th. LaShawn McCoy 6th. Emmitt Smith 7th. LaDainian Tomlinson and Marshawn Lynch are the top 9 paid running backs career earnings. And Zeke at nearly $71 million. That's the last running back that will ever enter that list.
He's gotten progressively worse statistically every single season of his career.
And the league has gone away from a featured running back during his career.
Right.
He's also gotten progressively injured. All right. And the one thing he's not gotten credit for is he has played through the injuries. He's had a significant injury each of the last 2 years. I believe he only missed 2 games total. And I'm talking like knee injuries, so when he came back, he wasn't close to 100%, not even close. So the question is, though, what does a healthy Ezekiel Elliott have left? And then 2, can he ever be healthy again? Because assuming, Mark, wherever he goes, he's not going to be running back 1. He's going to be at best 1A, but probably running back 2. So his workload's going to go down. Well, at this stage of his career, 7 years into the league as a running back. Okay. All right. So what if Zeke is a 200-touch guy? Instead of between carries and receptions, he's a 300-plus touch guy. Can you keep him healthy for 12 touches a game? That's 200 touches between running and receiving. Because I will say this also, he's one of the 3 best blocking backs in the league. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, when he picks you up on a blitz, you get stoned.
Who should sign him? Is there a team out there that's close that you think, because he's not going to get big money, and he may even take a little bit of a discount to chase a ring?
So you think he should only go to Buffalo?
I'm with you.
Now, I will say Cincinnati may have some issues at running back. They just lost Pirine, and goodness knows the Joe Mixon situation is up in the air. But I expect, by the way, Edwards-Helaire to end up in Cincinnati. I think Burrow, because I don't know if Kansas City's already cut him or not, but I mean, I expect him to not be a part of their rotation in Kansas City. And I think Burrow will say to the Bengals, we had some magic together in LSU. I don't know what happened in Kansas City, but if this guy's healthy, picking him up.
And I think someone brought up in the Twitch chat room, the Chargers. I think that's a place that Zeke could end up because they're
shopping Eckler.
Eckler's on the market right now because they can't come up with a deal. They're not shopping him. They gave him permission to shop himself because they couldn't get a deal with him.
He's about to get paid.
Does Vegas have a backup for Jacobs, who also may not be there long term because they put the cap on him or the tag on him, excuse me. So if you're Vegas, do you bring in Zeke as the number 2 to Josh Jacobs?
What do you think you can get Zeke for?
I think fairly low base loaded with incentives at this stage of his career. I'd be shocked if he could get more than 4 million base. I think you're probably talking 3 million base and then an incentive laden contract.
I got to tell you, this sounds insane, but Philly needs a running back. They just lost Miles Sanders.
Yeah, but they who was it they signed because they knew they were going to lose Miles Sanders? Was it Rashad Penny?
Oh, yes. The 1-year deal for Penny out of Seattle. That's right.
Now, I will say, I like your thinking, Felipe, because Penny can't stay healthy. Penny's played in less than half the games over the last 4 years. And
Right, they have Gainwell as well.
yeah, but I mean, they signed a bunch of parts, to be honest with you.
So just curious where, Zeke would end up, because as you pointed out, he's a good blocker. He's not been healthy. Someone will take a chance on the pedigree and try to bring him in. And I like the idea I think Buffalo should be bringing in a back.
When is the XFL signing deadline?
Wow.
Get him warm.
He just asked that out loud, didn't he?
Wow.
Wow. Miller and Moulton. Tim Brando coming up in a little more than a handful of minutes. Get your brackets filled out. Hey, here's the only flyer that I've got. I have a much chalkier bracket than I normally fill out. But for what it's worth, I got Creighton in an Elite Eight, or excuse me, I got Creighton in a Sweet 16.
Well, you got a shot there. I've got them losing their first game.
Okay. I got Charleston in a Sweet 16.
As do I.
And I have Gonzaga going to the Final Four out of the West.
I don't think that's a bad pick.
They've lost one game since they had their home winning streak snapped in late January, and it was in overtime against St. Mary's. They're playing really well. Their analytics are great, and they got Timmy there, who was, talk for preseason player of the year, who, by the way, needs to be celebrated. A 4-year guy and the career he's put up and what have you. And I think he can take this Gonzaga team and put them on his back and go to the Final Four.
In one of the all-time great college basketball mustaches.
Oh, my goodness.
Of any generation, David. Just that alone, Timmy should get a few extra nods. Miller and Moulton. The great Tim Brando is next, right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. What'd you give up for Lent, Felipe?
Oh, nothing.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Bad Catholic raised
Calling
child.
your mother right now.
You know what my dad gave up for Lent? TikTok. My dad uses. I'm so disappointed.
Why? I like your dad even more now. I love.
I know you do.
Would have been a tough one for me to give up.
It's insane. It's perfect for you 50s people. God. You ever heard of YouTube, man?
What do I want YouTube for?
YouTube rabbit holes.
I'm good with TikTok.
Again, it's the format. It's small, it's condensed, vertical screen.
Exactly. And
It's
I can
easier.
I can go through a million of them. As soon as I'm bored with it, I'm done with it.
Guess I'm an internet veteran.
Really? I've been on the internet longer than you've been alive.
Hey, YouTube came out in 2006.
You didn't say YouTube. You said the internet.
Right, but
And I'm guessing you weren't on YouTube at the age of 6.
oh, I was.
Wow.
Remember Charlie bit my finger? Charlie.
My mom's happy with me because I picked the Zags. She's got a thing for Gonzaga.
I hope not, Adam.
Could be memories of the Sweet 16 if it's UCLA and Gonzaga. That was the famous Adam Morrison crying on the court when they blew a big lead late and lost in his final college game. Speaking of mustaches, Mark, remember that cheesy one? Adam Morrison?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
That was a Ron Jeremy porn stash.
With the shaggy hair. I get he was just a short white guy that just shot a lot of threes, but how was Adam Morrison drafted over JJ Redick?
Well, he wasn't short. He was like 6'10". So the thought was he was going to be like a stretch 4.
No, I was referring to JJ Redick as the short one.
Oh, okay.
JJ Redick
Well,
was
you know why? Because Michael Jordan drafted him. And Michael Jordan, tell you what, we all love MJ, but MJ's been terrible running NBA teams. Terrible.
so bad. I mean, Kwame Brown, really? He broke him mentally.
All right. Get Timmy B here. Phones work, right?
They better. I think it's a knee. Diaz's right knee. Oh, yeah. They think he blew it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a disaster.
I'm going to call him back. We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat Kerwin will join us on the show tomorrow. We'll recap what has been a lively NFL week, and we'll, of course, look back at the first full day of the madness on the show tomorrow. Hoping to catch up with Tim Brando. He's in between nines, Mark. I know that. Okay. I mean, he's already, I think, been out.
He's in between nines?
Okay. No. All right. I'm sorry. He played yesterday. All right. He played yesterday. He got his first round of the year. Felipe, he'll be calling you on the hotline momentarily. Okay. So he played yesterday. His offseason has begun. And apparently he's going to do this interview and then head to the course.
Fantastic.
Tim Brando to join us here coming up momentarily. He saw a lot of Big East ball this year in his Fox travels. And so we'll get his thoughts on some of the teams that he really likes. Tim, it's David and Mark. Thanks for making time for us. How are you?
Wonderful, David. It's a great time to be alive. It's NCAA tournament time, and we get to watch a ton of games, which, as you know, even if I love to work, okay, but once I've done as much as I've done at this stage of my life, I really enjoy other people having to do 4 games with 8 teams in one day. So I'm going to play some golf and then watch some ball like everybody else and enjoy myself. It's fantastic. I've just begun my my work towards getting on the Timmy B tour. You know, getting ready to play some pro-ams and whatnot.
Fantastic.
And, played my first round on Tuesday. Going to play another one today with my friends, and then playing my first Saturday game with my Saturday group, which I've not been able to play with, since, mid-August. So,
all right. Well, hit them straight. That's the most important part. You've done so many of these. You've worked so many of these. Do you have a favorite memory of the tournament games, of all the games you've called? Is there one you can put it down to?
Yeah. Once people ask me a lot, and 2 things happen, David. It's kind of, it humbles you, but at the same time, it shows you, the average viewer is watching games, but they're not really sure who's doing them. I still get questioned at the end of the year when I'm at airports. Hey, Tim, where are you going to be this year? meaning what region am I going to be sent to? I'm like, I haven't done the NCAAs in 10 years. My last year to do it was 2013, but I had such a long run. I did it from 96 to 2013. So it was 18 years. And I think now announcers do double up in our own other networks all the time. Jimmy Jackson's working with Brian Anderson. I work with Jimmy a lot. Lavin used to do it. Now Lav is coaching, so he's not this year. And of course, Raft is everywhere. He never met a Czech he didn't like, and he's enjoying working with Jim and Grant at the main games this year. And does an outstanding job. So I think they feel like we can just hop around wherever we want. And then other ones will come up to me and they'll say, and this happens also quite a bit, well, what do you do with yourself? It must drive you crazy that you're not doing the tournament. I'm like, you have no idea. Once I'm done with the Big East tournament, and that's 5 games in 2 days before I pass it off to Gus, and I'm ready to get home. I'm ready to enjoy myself. But when you've done the second weekend of the tournament, I think I'd miss it more, David, if I had continued to do the regional finals for more than just a year with Al McGuire. In '98, I got to work the regional finals, and that was before CBS got the NFL back. So we didn't have Vern, we didn't have Enberg, and I was one of the guys getting to work the second weekend. And that was so much fun. And we had a game involving Stanford and Rhode Island.
Oh, an epic.
It was an epic finish. Rhode Island had a 6-point lead with 58 seconds left. Stanford came back to win the game. Jim Herrick was apoplectic at the end of the game. It was the game that made Mark Madsen, the Mad Dog, when Arthur Lee got the steal from Coutinho Mobley, tapped it into Madsen's hands. He got a slam and a foul. And suddenly, just like that erased that lead. And they hung on to win the game, and Mike Montgomery went to his first Final Four. Al is out on the floor dancing with the Stanford tree. It was a dream come true for me. I was 40 years old at the time, and I was thrilled, and it was just fantastic. And then the following year, when the first season of the AFC package on CBS began. Look, it happens. Dickenberg and Vern are legends, and they came in, and that was the end of me doing the second weekend. And so when you do 2 weekends, when you get to punch a ticket to the Final Four, that's memorable. That's something that, people will hang on to, and I certainly did. And working with the great Al McGuire, who's such a unique personality, and was really about the only superstar analyst that I had not worked with. I worked with Billy Packer a lot. God rest his soul. It was a big loss for a lot of us. And I worked with Vitale. I worked with Dickie V. And so the big three of, at that time were McGuire and Vitale and Packer. And to say that you'd worked with all of them was nice. And of course, working with Raft as much as I have, and I think Raftery is the best that we've ever had in terms of entertainment and information. I don't think anyone's better than Bill Raftery. And I work with him a lot. So I've been blessed to get to work with those guys. And I guess what I'm saying is I don't miss working the NCAA tournament as much because after I lost the opportunity to work the second weekend and punch tickets to the Final Four, it just wasn't the same. But I've had a lot of great memories and buzzer beaters through the years that I'll always cherish.
He's Tim Brando of Fox. You can follow him on Twitter at Tim Brando. Tim, we got about 8 minutes. Want to cover some ground here. You've seen a lot of Big East this year. I'm riding Creighton to at least the Sweet 16. Tell me why I'm right or wrong.
I like Creighton. I do. I like the draws that a lot of the Big East teams have. I have them losing to Arizona in the round of 16, so I've got them going that far. The reason I like it was because they got guys that can shoot it. If you don't have guys that can score, a lot of teams go 6, 7, 8 minutes in droughts, and we play against some teams, and you have that long of a drought, you can be out of a game. You may not have time to recover. Creighton is a team that, with Kalkbrenner back, was different. And when they didn't have him for that span of games and they lost 6 in a row, they looked really pedestrian. But I like Creighton. I do. I think they can beat Baylor in the second round, and that would surprise probably a few people. But I like Creighton to win this game with NC State, who I think is very fortunate to be in the tournament at all, and then get Baylor in round number 2. And I think that would surprise a lot of people that my bracket would have that, but I do.
Looking at Marquette, I read a stat that I found very interesting. No team that was not ranked in the preseason AP that's turned out to be a 1 or a 2 seed has ever gotten to the Final Four. Both Purdue and Marquette are of that. Is Marquette seeded right? Do you think that they have a shot to make it to the Final Four, or is this just a dream season that they overachieved during the regular season, Tim?
No, I thought that myself, but until I saw the proof in the pudding at the Big East tournament. When you win your first outright championship in a league, and Marquette did that, you look at them on paper, and they're a little undersized. Iguodala is probably only about 6'9" or so. There's not a lot of help for him in terms of post play, but their wings are so good. And Tyler Kolek is such a great leader and a pure, prolific point guard who can, when necessary, keep you in a game when everybody else is faltering. I love Marquette. I not only have them winning a few games, I've got them going all the way to the Final Four. I think Alabama is probably going to be the first number 1 seed to go down in the round of 16 in the South. But I think the next one to go down is Purdue. I do not like Purdue's matchups. My goodness, the winner of the FAU-Memphis game could give them trouble because they have problems with the press. You saw what happened at the end of the Penn State game. And they had that game tucked away, and their guards just continued to turn it over. And Zach Edey is nullified when that happens, when teams pressure the ball. And the other problem that Purdue will have, let's say they get past Memphis or FAU. When they get to the round of 16, they're going to have to deal with Duke in all likelihood. And they can bring Filipowski and 2 other bigs at them. Duke is a much better team now than they were in mid to late January when, like everybody else in the ACC, they were teetering on maybe not getting a bid. So I love Marquette's side of the bracket. I think it may open up for them a little bit. with the help of Purdue getting knocked out with poor matchups on their side.
It's funny, Tim. I think Duke can go to the Final Four if they can beat Oral Roberts. I'm very concerned. I feel the same way about Miami, by the way, as a sleeper Final Four team, if they can beat Drake. I'm curious, who are a team or two that you're riding in the first round?
Well, Drake is a team that I have as a bracket buster. Yes, I think. And remember, Miami is without one of their really good guards, just like Ziegler is out for Tennessee, which I think is also a problem. If you're looking for a 13-4 matchup, the Raging Cajuns, Bob Marlin's team is really good. They got a lot of guys that can fill it up, and that's a team you want to stay away from. I think that's a poor matchup for Tennessee. A lot of clubs, people are altering their brackets based on some players that aren't available. Heck, I would have picked UCLA, to win their region, if not for the loss of Clark. He's one of the most versatile players, and so that enabled me to pick Kansas out of that region. The loss of some players, if Kansas can get past Arkansas, which I think is a scary game for them, I think they will be okay after that. Although UConn is a team that's got a lot of talent and a lot of depth. Probably of all those Big East teams, the one that has the worst draw, I think, is UConn, because they're probably the most talented team to ride it out for 6 straight wins in a tournament. But I just don't like their draw, David. I don't.
All right, who's winning the whole thing, Tim?
Oh, I've got Arizona winning the whole thing. I think Arizona, if they have to play Alabama, they can beat them. People have forgotten about how much weaponry they have. Tubelis is a outstanding talent. I think Tommy Lloyd has done a great job getting some height and some length. They are tournament tested. And I think the issue for Alabama, frankly, fellas, is they're going to have to deal with Virginia, potentially in the Sweet 16. There aren't any teams that play like Tony Bennett's in the SEC. And I do think the Brandon Miller and Alabama mishandling this situation legally down in Tuscaloosa, that the bright light shining on that will be a bigger distraction from one step to the next step to the next. They're certainly going to win in Birmingham, but I think they'll run into trouble in the Sweet 16. So I've got Arizona coming out of the South. I've got Marquette out of the East. I believe Houston will have Sasser. My moles down there tell me he's coming along, improving, did a little bit more this week than maybe they had originally anticipated. I think they'll get a good Xavier team, though, in the Elite Eight. I love Xavier to get through to the Elite Eight, beat Texas in the round of 16. But I like Houston in that region, and then in the West, I'm going with Kansas, with Arizona meeting Kansas and beating them 88-84 in the final.
Well, it would be spectacular if Sean Miller finally gets to the Final Four and he does it coming back to Xavier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it sure would. Can you imagine a matchup potentially with Arizona?
Man, that would be rich. That would be college athletics on full display.
Oh yeah, the NCAA would just love that. So would the FBI.
Tim Driver off the deck Brando. If you follow him on Twitter, you know he will break that out once a round if he can.
Yeah, I was thinking about you when I did that, David. I was. You're one of the few that actually request Brando videos on the golf course.
That's because they come with play-by-play and color. So, I mean, you don't get that everywhere.
Well, here's another tip from the tee, David. When you're playing, and I was told this by David Toms, my buddy and former PGA champion, who's from right here in Shreveport. He said, remember, when you golf, you need to golf your personality. If talking is your natural habitat, just talk your way through the swing.
He's Tim Brando of Fox, and he's taking in the madness with us. You can follow Tim on Twitter at Tim Brando. Tim, thanks for your time. Hit him straight. Hopefully we can talk down the road.
You got it, David. If you run into Danielson down there, tell him I said hello. I'm sure he's teeing it up too.
You're probably not wrong about that.
Yeah, be well.
Tim Brando, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton.
That was a record. Most questions we've ever got in with Tim.
Well, sometimes I did text him and say we only got 15 minutes. So, prefaced it. Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, Venice. Thanks so much for listening. Those are the 239. The bonus hour's next.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. David, need to do the promo here.
Okay.
Go for it.
What do we got, Pat?
Right now we just have Pat, and because unfortunately we have Semesco, but he's in the bonus hour. So we'll look back on the first day of the tournament.
Yep.
And look back at the first week of free agency. Coming up Friday on Miller and Moulton.
We'll look back at day one of the tournament.
And we'll look back at week one of NFL free agency with Pat Kerwin.
6 a.m., Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Nice.
And Yinzer, to the answer to that question is an absolutely, positively no.
Just funny, okay, because he had it. But Tim knows me because a few years ago, he came to Naples for an event, and I emceed it. And we did an hour-long Q&A on the NCAA tournament. So it's why Tim, knows my name. I mean, our paths crossed a few times with the SEC. At the SEC championship every year, they would bring the studio crew down. And so, on a Friday or Saturday night, we might be at the same table eating and drinking and what have you. But
You know, this is an interesting take by a golf pro friend of mine. My biggest problem with USGA rolling the golf ball back is the amount of money and R&D to produce said ball for maybe 2,500 people forced to play will most certainly be passed on to the people who won't be forced to play use said ball or have any reason to want to play said golf ball. It's a hell of a point. Not the golf ball, but and then he says, way to go, USGA. You've kicked another one out of the park. Hashtag divots are ground under repair. Fix that nonsense first.
Yep.
Just for the PGA.
What do you mean?
Some master golf balls are. Is it just?
It's just for USGA and RNA events
For now.
Right. The Masters, the PGA of America, and the PGA Tour would all have to agree to do it, but it's an option. I mean, the USGA and the RNA can't make those entities do anything. Yeah, buried in bourbon. We mentioned that in the starting five. Like, quite frankly, how long can Scott Strickland survive with his big sports being mediocre at best?
10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 3 hours away from the madness. So get your brackets done, man. We tried to give you as much info today as we could to fill out your brackets. Get them in. Heck, who knows who's going to win this thing? I don't just mean the bracket contest. I mean the brackets. Man, this sucker's wide open. I mean, come on. Alabama, Texas, really? Do we have faith that these football schools are going to get it done in basketball?
I have them playing one another, I think, in the Final Four.
Well, that must be the championship game, right? You have an Alabama-Texas title game?
Hang
Look
on.
at you.
It was either Alabama, Texas. I think I had Alabama, Texas on one. I did two of them. Alabama, Kansas. I have Kansas beating Texas. My Final Four is Alabama, Marquette, Texas, and Kansas. 2 2s, 2 1s. Really went out on a limb this year, David.
That would be pretty sexy, though. Kansas and Texas for the fourth time this year in the Final Four. Bill Self's iffy for the first game still. Apparently, he had 2 stints put in. That's finally what they revealed. It's why he missed the Big 12 tournament. And, I would advise him to just chill out in the hotel room and watch him beat Howard and cover. Get ready for the second round there when
you're going to play Arkansas, and it's going to be a really tough game.
And we're actually going to need your coaching expertise because there are not many better at adjustments during a game than Bill Self. But
that was where Arkansas and Illinois. I took Arkansas in the 8-9 game. I'm going to trust the SEC over the Big Ten in that one.
Well, West Virginia, Maryland also. That's the Big 12, Big 10. And the reason I went West Virginia, besides the fact that I look like Bob Huggins, is that Maryland's won 2 games on the road all year. And I have to treat the NCAA tournament as not a home game. So Maryland can only play well at home. Well, they're not playing at home.
I think that Iowa's actually, I went against it with Iowa and Auburn because Iowa's the only team in the Big Ten that can actually score. It's a road game.
Yeah, it's in Birmingham.
It's a flat out road game, and I probably should not pick Iowa. But for the 8-9, I did pick Iowa in that game because I want to see Iowa play Houston. That was probably more of a wish list, an Aaron Rodgers wish list, if you will, than an actual.
Here's why I want to see Houston and Iowa in the second round. Because I think there's a chance that one of two things could happen. Houston will be so physical defensively. I think there's a chance for the Iowa team, which is very finesse, to literally end up in the floor in the fetal position before the game is over. But also, Houston is going to get away with so many fouls against a Fran McCaffrey coach team that I think there's a chance for something that never happens in a tournament game before. And in fact, if they play, I would like to see if there's a side bet on whether or not McCaffrey gets ejected. I would like to throw a few shekels on it. Because he picks up the first tee in the first half, and by late in the second half, when Houston's pulled away, because they're shooting 37 free throws, all right, and Iowa has shot 9, all right, that McCaffrey just absolutely loses it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I took West Virginia over Maryland, and I took FAU because, well, we had Dusty May on the show, and I'm rooting for him.
Well, and also, let's be brutally honest. I mean, we've had them on twice. First time we had them on, they lost their next game. After having them on Tuesday, if they lose to Memphis, we're never. I mean, they have 4 losses this year, 2 after talking to Miller and Moulton. I mean, we have no shot to get him again, whether he stays at FAU or goes elsewhere. No shot at all. He says he's not superstitious. I'm not buying it. The only thing I'll say is that he's got a good friend that we know. Okay, if he loses, I'll have to lobby through that friend to not blame us, so that we can get a third time's the charm.
He said he wasn't superstitious.
He did first time we had him on.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand that. It's easy to say that at the time. You got 2 losses, life is great, and what have you. I do think on the way home, he'll be like, last 2 losses. I talked to those yahoos midweek. He turns to the SID and says, listen, if they call, the answer's no. Because now if they call, I'll get like in a car accident on the way home. I mean, they're bad luck.
But if they were, if we can get them to win a couple, then we've got them beating Purdue.
Right.
But I have the South as my craziest bracket, where I have NC State an 11 winning, I have Charleston a 12 winning, I have Furman a 13 winning.
I will say NC State fits the criteria. You almost always take the 1 or 2 teams that got in that everybody said didn't belong. They almost always shove it up everybody's you-know-what for one game.
And what do they have? Veteran guard play.
They have 1 quad 1 win all year, though. I mean, they have not beaten. When they play a decent team, they lose. How they got in over Clemson, honestly, there needs to be an investigation.
Well, did you see what Clemson went and did then? They lost their first round NIT game.
Well, but see, come on, the kids don't want to play.
No, that was proof in the pudding. They didn't want to play.
I mean, come on. They finished 3rd in the ACC. They beat NC State 3 times. I don't think any game was close either. And NC State gets the at-large and Clemson doesn't?
But we had Bobby Regan on early in the college basketball season. And I said, who's the most overrated team in the country? If you remember, his answer was Creighton. That stuck in my head. NC State's got a really good guard. They're going to play with some attitude, so I have NC State winning against Creighton. That was the mess of a bracket for me. I think you went with the East as your mess of a bracket, right?
I just think that the East, because I think Oral Roberts can beat Duke. I think Louisiana's going to beat Tennessee. I would bet a ton of money that Tennessee does not live up to their seeding and get to the Sweet 16. And if Duke gets through to the Sweet 16 and I'm wrong, I think anybody but Tennessee who gets out of there can give Purdue a hell of a game in the Sweet 16.
You can pressure Purdue, as
Now,
Tim Brando just talked about. They're terrible against the press.
Now, and that's where, if you're a Purdue fan, believe it or not, you want FAU. You root hard for FAU because Memphis is not the style of team you want to play in the second round.
By the way, our buddy John Fanta has Memphis winning 2 games and beating Purdue in that game.
Okay.
For what it's worth, as I have his bracket up because he did a really nice job. It's typed out instead of having to go to my phone where I've been kind of staring at the games on his today. It was the first one I saw filled out this morning.
I will say this. You and I both believe Marquette's having a little bit of a magic carpet ride year. They're not as good as their ranking and their seeding and all that. They got a hell of a draw. They're going to win their 2-15 game. And then they're going to play the winner of USC and Michigan State. USC is incredibly young. They got one veteran guard. They're inconsistent on offense. All right. Marquette should be able to beat the winner of USC, Michigan State.
Yes.
And then think about who they could match up with in the Sweet 16. K-State. They can handle K-State. Kentucky. Providence. First off, I can't pick a winner between Kentucky and Providence. Providence ended the year losing like 7 out of 10, and every rumor in the country is Cooley leaving Providence for Georgetown, which I think is he's just using Georgetown to get what he wants in Providence. But, I think Marquette as a 2 seed has got about as soft a draw as you can get.
And Purdue is a 1 at the end of it. We've already talked about their limitations. They've got the big fella, and he's terrific. But that lawyer kid that's supposed to be the good he was the best 3-point shooting guard in the country as a high school senior, hasn't shot it that well. And they don't have a backup scorer if the big guy can be slowed down at all.
And as has been pointed out in our Twitch chat room, Providence has a Kentucky transfer. So a lot of people riding Providence in the 6-11 game. Providence finished the year so badly that it could have easily been Providence as the team left out instead of Rutgers, in my estimation. And Kentucky is a 6? When has Kentucky ever looked as good as a 6 seed this year?
They didn't look like a tournament team for most of the year, David.
Yeah. They went to Tennessee when Tennessee was playing really well and healthy and beat them. It's the only day all year in which I thought Kentucky looked like a ranked team. Tell you what, John Cal does not have the toughest draw here. Providence, K-State. All right. Come on now. Win some games. Making $8.5 million a year.
And besides, if Texas makes a deep run, I don't know if that job's going to be there for you.
I know. You got that contract in the drawer, and it's not even going to be worth anything. Hate when that happens. Not like this stuff really happens, Mark. We're just shooting it. And this stuff doesn't happen. Jimbo didn't have that contract in the drawer in October when he eventually left in December for A&M.
So did Arizona State winning last night? Did you have to see those play-ins to change those games? Do you have any play-in team winning another game? I have Pitt beating Iowa State.
I do as well. But I had the winner of the game beating Iowa State. I'm not sold on Iowa State.
I'm not. They don't score. They're one of the few Big 12 teams that really has trouble scoring the basketball. And if they get by that, I don't see them going much further because they'll run into Xavier next. So I felt pretty good hedging my bets on Iowa State getting bounced. It's probably the only Big 12 team that I didn't have a lot of faith in.
Miller and Moulton. When we come back, listen, we say a lot of things on this show. And, not all of them are right. But, every now and then we are right. And we're going to let Vegas Vegas prove what we were ranting and raving about earlier in the week was in fact correct. I mean, don't believe us. Believe the experts. That's coming up.
That's a solid tease right there. I mean, that was an effective, really solid tease. Miller and Moulton. I'm intrigued right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, I know no one's paying attention, but Mike Trout is looking like the best player in baseball again.
Like in the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, he's just carrying the United States.
Him and Mookie, but mainly him. Also, Ohtani is right there with him. He's carrying Japan. He threw 6 scoreless innings until they finally put some runs on him, and they took him out.
Mike Trout, this is the most fun experience I've had in baseball to represent my country. It's been a blast. Being part of this atmosphere means a lot to me. I knew it was going to be
playoffs. It would be the same way,
right? Yeah,
I knew it was going to be a fun time. I never knew it was going to be this fun. Okay. And as Mookie Betts said, this is way better than getting 4 at-bats on the backfields.
Has Trout not done this before? Is this his first World Baseball Classic?
I don't think it is, but
just a reminder of how great it is.
How great what is?
World Baseball Classic.
Okay, if you say so.
It is great.
I said if you say so.
If you're a fan and you're a player, there's no doubt it's great.
see, Felipe, I think most baseball fans are totally oblivious to what is going on. It's why having this now is a waste of time.
But I don't think it should be in July. I actually think it should be in November.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. I would vote November over March.
Well, yeah. Like they used to have the hockey. They still have the hockey championship, the World Hockey Championships. Guys get out of the playoffs and jump in. But I wouldn't start. I wouldn't start until the World Series was over.
Okay.
Well, that's fair. The Olympics, basketball, right after the NBA Finals.
Then I'd be interested. Then I actually would. Then you might have players who played in the playoffs. They're going to go right to it.
Perhaps.
Man, it's tough to compete with football, though. Golly. Plus, you may have trouble from your broadcast partner there in Fox. They're going to be like, the weekends are kind of out of the question.
No, I know.
You guys want to play Monday through Friday?
We'd be all for it.
I mean, they could put the baseball on Sunday on FS1. Oh, I'm sure Barstool's losing their mind about Diaz's injury. First off, aren't a couple of guys on the show New York sports fans?
Yeah, that really obese dude, Barstool Frank.
Well, not Big Cat, but the other one. PFT or what?
Yeah,
I don't follow him that closely.
I think he's I thought it was the Yankees.
I
fan,
thought he was
though.
a Mets, but I could be wrong.
Whatever. He's a New York guy. I know that.
Oh.
Soph's mom's a Mets fan.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. All coming up in a little less than 20 minutes. Remember, on this station, they go local 10 to noon before the tournament starts at noon. So the local talk keeps on keeping on with Sheeman and Shepard, 10 to noon, today and tomorrow, here on the local station. Being nice, being generous.
You are.
Well, we're only on, instead of on 4 stations, we're only on 1. I just figured let everybody know, we're going to keep on keeping on. That's all. Being nice. I have to admit, though, coming to the studios and getting the cold, I really should hold a grudge, but I'm not.
Should hold it with Felipe. He's the one that gave it to you.
I know. My wife, who adores Felipe, okay, she's not happy with Felipe. She goes, did he wear a mask? I go, no, he didn't wear a mask. He was sick. He knew he was sick. He didn't wear a mask. And I looked right at her and I said, we're men. Oh, my goodness. Boy, did that go over well.
That was probably an answer that you would have rescinded and just chose silence.
No. To me, it's like the referee teeing up Fran McCaffrey, knowing exactly the reaction I'm going to get. I teed her up, knowing full well, here it comes.
And did she get ejected?
Well, let me tell you, she didn't.
Would you, if you teed her up essentially with the comment that we're men, right, was her rebuttal enough to get her thrown out, or did you have to take that heat as the ref?
Oh, no, she definitely earned a second technical, but I had so much fun giving the first, I just figured I had to take it.
Because you would have given McCaffrey the tee if he stared you down like that.
I would have moved closer. midway through the stare down, I wouldn't have. And you know me, I can look at you forever and not blink. Okay, so McCaffrey wants to do a stare down with me. That's fine. I would have cut the distance in half about 15 seconds into that stare down.
I don't know what to feel right now because I did think about bringing a mask, but I ultimately decided not
It's
to.
fine. Felipe, did I say anything? No, I don't care.
No.
It's life.
No,
Okay.
but it caused,
I'm here with you every day and I
controversy.
didn't get sick. So maybe it wasn't.
Here's the funny thing. Also, Mark, this is what it's led to. My wife has followed me around for 3 days in the condo with paper towels and cleaning fluid. I swear to God, everywhere I go, she's just like spraying behind me in the air. If I touch something, she sprays it, she wipes it. It's unbelievable. We've gone through 9 rolls of paper towels and 2 bottles of cleaning fluid in 3 days.
I would just be randomly touching things then if I were you.
Well, and
I would open the fridge, shut the fridge. Wait till she cleaned it. I might open it again. I would get teed up over and over for this one.
the last 3 days, I can't go in the kitchen. Okay. And this is the funny thing, because, my wife and I are pretty independent. We don't necessarily wait on the other. If we're there, we're kind of like, hey, you need something? But, the last 3 days, I mean, my wife has been waiting on me, hand and foot here. Because she doesn't want me getting up. She doesn't want me touching anything. She doesn't want me going anywhere. We have a 3-seat couch. And she's on the one end and I'm on the other. Because both ends recline. Okay? Actually spent a little bit of money on this piece of furniture. Okay? So there's a good yard in between us. And we were talking yesterday. And a show was on. And I turned and I looked at her. And she said, "Don't look at me when you talk to me." I went, "What?" I said, "You think the what, germs if I look in your direction?" Okay, so of course, I mean, not only did I look at her, I turned my body towards her. And another thing. Right. So anyway, I digress. So I'm having fun today. And this week, I don't know. It's a totally different week. I got my wife waiting on me, hand and foot. Okay. I figured, I'd be nice. I'd throw out a little promo. Okay.
Fantastic. Good for you. I like that. David Nice. I'm not used to it. I've got to be honest with you.
Neither am I. So it's new for me too. Okay. Here's what I was talking about before the break. So we're idiots. Our listeners know that. Okay. But whatever. I guess they can't, find any other idiots. So they listen to us. And Vegas knows what they're talking about. They're really good at this sports thing. So, Mark, I'm going to read you the lines in the NCAA women's basketball tournament between the 5 seeds and the 12 seeds.
Okay.
Okay. We have a 5-12 matchup between Iowa State and Toledo. How many points do you think the 12 seed's getting in that one?
Over 10.
10.5. Nice job. Now, we do have a competitive 5-12 matchup between Louisville and Drake. Okay, Drake's getting about 5.5. Okay. We have a 5-12 matchup between Oklahoma and Portland.
That's probably 13.
It's actually 9.
Oh, okay.
Then we have a 5-12 matchup between Washington State and FGCU.
Pick them.
FGCU -1. Okay. I mean, under the whole, what game does not belong here? Here we go. When the 12 seeds favored by a point against the Pac-12 champion. Gotcha. Okay. For the record, the 5-12 men's games, the spreads are 2, 4.5, 5, and 6. But all the 12s are getting points. Even Drake's getting 2 against Miami. And we saw this coming 2 weeks in advance. We thought this is going to be a tough draw for Miami if they can't get off the 5 line. I mean, Duke's a 6-point favorite against Oral Roberts. I mean,
right.
Damn.
After just winning the ACC tournament and playing pretty damn well in doing so.
VCU's getting 4.5 against St. Mary's. I think you and I are both taking VCU straight up.
No, I'm taking St. Mary's in that game. They underwhelmed so much against Gonzaga. They're a good team, and I think they'll rebound from that.
Okay. Charleston, by the way, getting 5 against San Diego State.
Love the 5.
Yeah.
Love them outright.
I got to admit, to me, that's a blanket. I just think you take the 12s and the points right there. I'll take all 4. I'd be shocked if I don't at least get a split. But Carl Semesco on the show at 9 o'clock tomorrow, by the way.
And this is a bad break to me for Carl Semesco and his FGCU Lady Eagles, because unlike all the other games, they've got a really good 5 seed, a team that's obviously deserves to be there, who's being told they're an underdog. They get to play the no respect card in their first game.
Totally. I mean, FGC faced it the last 2 years. The Virginia Tech coaches and players last year, before the game, publicly, into the cameras and microphones, were bad-mouthing the committee and bad-mouthing FGCU. Could not believe they had to play FGCU. Michigan, the year before that, was enraged they had to play FGCU. They were ranked top 15 in the country. They had to play a team that was ranked 22nd in the first round of the tournament, who had a WNBA player on the roster, and we all knew it. And they played with a chip on their shoulder as the favorite against FGCU. They were so angry, that's who they drew.
And Washington State will be the same way this weekend when they play FGCU, because they're an actual underdog in the game. So hopefully Carl Semesco's squad can come out and play representative of the favorite that they are and get to round 2.
But think about it, a 5-12 game that's seen as a flat toss-up. We got one of those kind of in the men's draw. Drake, Miami.
And that's because Miami might be without one of their best players. Don't think that doesn't factor into the line.
Well, and you and I both felt Drake was worthy of an at-large, okay, whether they won the Missouri Valley or not. The committee was not going to give them one, but I think Vegas is showing they were worthy of an at-large if they didn't win the Missouri Valley.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when, and what's on tap as if we didn't know. All still ahead right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Napa Auto Parts and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Outstanding. Fishing trip was canceled for Sunday. As much as I don't want to have it canceled, I didn't want to go out and fish in cold weather in the rain. Much as I was looking forward to a grouper dinner Sunday night.
Well, they'll postpone it for a better day.
It's getting weekends. They've got all kinds of days booked, but I can't. This is the only day I could go with this group because I've got this job thing.
Where were you going to go?
Out.
Like golf?
Yeah, out. Deep.
Well, don't you have to with all
Yes.
the red tide and the dead
Yeah,
fish and the smell?
correct.
Oh, it's bad. It's really bad.
Let's not fix Lake Okeechobee, though. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. By the way, it's another thing we could do with the gambling money. I mean, I recommend we put it towards hurricane repairs every year in the state of Florida. But you know what? How about we do the sports gambling and all that money goes to fixing Lake Okeechobee? What do you say?
Yellow grouper. I've never even heard of a yellow grouper. What the hell is a yellow grouper? Wow. I've never even heard of the fish.
I don't think I have.
I've heard of gags. I've heard of black. I've heard of red. I've heard of.
It's probably grouper that's yellow. Who knows? Sorry. It's funny how much sugar they grow around Lake Okeechobee, yet how bad it is for the Everglades.
Because we let the sugar companies do whatever they want.
Yes, I know. Money controls everything, even if it destroys.
How big,
us.
Bourbon? I've never heard of a yellow grouper.
We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kerwin will join us on the show tomorrow. Carl Semeska will join us 9 o'clock tomorrow. They're traveling to Philly, I think today. They play Saturday. FGCU women do against Washington State in a 5-12 matchup. Man, the spreads for these games are so tight. West Virginia, Maryland 3, a 4-13 matchup between Furman and Virginia 6, 7-10 between Missouri, Utah State. The 10's favored by a point. You know, the 2 116s are 20-plus point spreads, Mark. But the 5-12, San Diego State, Charleston 5. You know, Illinois, Arkansas an 8-9, 2. 8-9, Auburn, Iowa 1. Duke, Oral Roberts a 5-12, 6. You know, a couple of 215s. You got some margins, you know, Texas by nearly 14, Arizona by 14, but 7-10 Northwestern Boise, 1.5. I mean, that's why the one that shocks you and I both is Louisiana getting 11 against Tennessee.
It doesn't make any sense to me, David.
I mean,
because I know a lot of people that are picking Louisiana straight up, and the point spread hasn't moved a bit, and it's over double digits, and Tennessee's down a man. I don't get it.
I'm totally with you. And when a line feels this out of whack, sometimes it scares people like you and I from playing it. Because, I mean, to me, this is almost like wanting to split and double down on aces. It's kind of like, wait, what? I'm getting 11? Seriously? How many different ways can I bet this? And then I keep saying to myself, wait a minute, it actually has gone up to 11. What do they know? Because they know more than me.
Last time I checked, they never knock one of those suckers down to build a smaller one.
And you're not talking spread, you're talking casinos.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just they don't seem to downsize much in that business.
Not even the buffets. You know, bigger casino means bigger buffet.
Where are you going today? You staying in the house or you leaving the house?
No, I'm staying. I'm going to torture the wife.
Are you going to order like DoorDash? I know you don't normally do that, but is today a DoorDash day where you just start having food trucked in for you?
I'm actually, after the show, going to go and grab some snacks and stuff and bring them. And I'm going to walk in the house and she's just going to look at me like, oh, God, my life sucks.
Mark, you know what I'm doing right now? I'm ordering my groceries so that I can pick them up after the show, and I'll have a full slate of snacks and groceries for March Madness.
12:15, West Virginia and Maryland.
And
12:15, baby.
I think we get raffed right off the bat. So I think we're getting raffed right off the bat because that's an 8-9 game, and they always send Nance to a site with a 1.
It's funny, though. I do think, like, Nance usually does Friday, Sunday, first round, but I think he's doing Thursday, Saturday this year. I mean, he gets to pick where he goes. And I think they were in Orlando. I thought I heard that he was doing Duke out of the chute. Could be wrong. I mean, he's going to pick Houston. I mean, once they get to the Sweet 16. I mean, come on. He's going to follow his alma mater. This is his last tournament.
Absolutely.
So we'll see.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1850 today. Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter is published. In 1900, in Chicago, Ban Johnson announced the American League will be the Chicago White Stockings, the Washington Senators, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Detroit Tigers, the Cleveland Blues, the Boston Americans, the Philadelphia Athletics, and the Baltimore Orioles. We jump all the way to 68. GM produced its 100 millionth automobile today in 1968. It was the Oldsmobile Tornado. And also in 68, Robert Kennedy announced his presidential campaign. Today in 69, the Bruins set a record with 8 goals in one period. John and Yoko were received deportation papers by the U.S. Immigration Department today in 72. Today in 83, the smallest NBA crowd ever at the Cleveland Coliseum. 1,814 for a Cavs-Nets game.
Love it.
That was way out in the boonies. I remember passing that arena on the way to my grandmother's house when she lived in the Akron area. And that was a long way from Cleveland. A long way. Today in 1990, in honoring the passing of Hank Gathers, Bo Kimball scores 45 for Loyola Marymount.
And he shoots the first free throw left-handed. And the entire nation at that moment said, we are all in on Loyola Marymount.
No doubt. No doubt. Today in 94, Tanya Harding pleads guilty to a felony attack on Nancy Kerrigan. Tyson TKO's Frank Bruno in the third today in 96. For you hockey fans out there, Dave Anderchuk becomes the 26th to 500 goals today in 97. It was today, 3 years ago, that Major League Baseball suspended the remainder of spring training and delayed the start of the regular season for COVID. And it was just 1 year ago today that David Moulton announced he was leaving ESPN, or leaving Fox to head to ESPN. I'm sorry. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman announced they were leaving Fox to join ESPN. It was just a smaller footnote on the David Moulton part.
Right. I spent a day in the fetal position realizing there goes the Super Bowl.
Those born today that are no longer with us: James Madison, Jerry Lewis, former Saginaw Gear coach and LA King coach Don Perry, and Howard Schellenberger. Sometimes I put a name in there just for me, David.
I like it.
Chuck Woolery is 83 today. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
Nice.
Nancy Wilson from Hart is 69. Ozzie Newsome is 67. Flavor Flav is 64. Former Panthers coach and every other NHL team coach Dwayne Sutter is 63. Mel Gray is 62. Rodney Peete, 57. Curtis Granderson is 42. Blake Griffin is 34. Wolfgang Van Halen is 32. That just shows that we're really old, David. And Joel Embiid is 29 years old today. And that, David, is today was the day when.
I got to admit, I was looking up announcers at the very beginning. Did you go West Point?
No.
1802. Okay, the U.S. Military Academy was established today, the first military school in the U.S.
The hell did I miss that?
Okay. So it's 221 years old today.
There it is, right there, right in the place that I look for my stuff. Glossed right over it. I don't know why that wasn't in big, bold letters. Seems like that's a little more important than the footnote they gave it.
Well, and to go back to what you were talking about a few minutes ago, you're right. You start with Nance and Raftery and the 12-15 game. All right. So there you go. Yeah, don't think he's in Orlando then. I think Harlan's in Orlando.
Something I think worth mentioning. I don't know if it was early this morning or late last night, but Bobby Caldwell passed away.
Yeah.
Age 71.
Songwriter.
My number one go-to karaoke song, What You Would Do for Love.
Really?
Yep. That's my go-to karaoke song right there.
A song that was written 25 years basically before you were born. That's outstanding.
Yes.
What song?
What you won't do for love.
I'll have to look it up after the show because I don't think I've ever heard
What?
it.
You tried everything.
You're not helping.
Remember, he's always thought he could sing.
And he can't.
No. And it's
bad.
It's alarming the difference between perception and reality. Okay. That was the first time we started talking to his girlfriend through the show. We started saying, listen, we don't know who you are. We hope things are working out really well. Okay. But you got to talk to him about this. He thinks he can sing, and you might be the only person he'll listen to right now.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
The bad and the ugly just happened. Felipe singing.
Hey. Stop it.
We go to the New South Wales South Coast for the good, where a man and a young boy were rescued from a remote beach after their boat capsized in rough seas. The 30-year-old had written help on the remote beach, and when drones were put out to look for the two passengers, they found the help sign on the beach and were able to rescue the two men. For the bad, we go to Chicago. I did this just for David, where a U.S. Postal Service employee will spend 9 months in federal prison after stealing mail. DeMonte Williams of Chicago was sentenced to 9 months. Thefts happened in March of April of 2018. He would just steal mail from people on his route. Damn mail carriers. And for the ugly, we go to Utah, because the story is Utah, where a middle school gave 6th grade students insects to eat last week as part of an English assignment on climate change, claiming it would save the environment from cows that were killing the world. The bugs were purchased from a commercial site that is safe for consumption. Few of the moms weren't all that happy that their kids were eating bugs in school. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 16th, 2023. Would you eat a bug?
Not if it was alive. The whole moving thing would freak me out.
I'm totally with you there.
But if it's fried and on a shish kebab.
I mean, if it was dead, okay, then I can, I don't know, picture it differently.
Lobster and shrimp are essentially water bugs.
No, I get it. And it's weird too, because I can go to the restaurant and pick the lobster out that's moving around and go, no, I want this one. So that I don't have a problem with, but the whole bug thing, when they show you go to the Far East in certain places and they and they throw them and they're alive and they throw them on the thing and they cook them right in front of you. And obviously they're dying right in front of you. I'm like, no, I'm out. No. Mm-mm. But I'm fine with the lobster. I'll take that one right there.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do bugs. I would eat one. There's not much I couldn't down.
It would take some breading. Okay, it would. Okay,
I
it would
thought you
take
were
some
gonna take
breading and a
bourbon.
sauce.
What kind of sauce goes good with bugs?
I don't know.
There's
Whatever
just
mood you're
A little
in.
garlic aioli maybe with some
Yeah.
bugs? Might work.
Maybe.
Canada Relief says butter and garlic. Something.
They make everything taste. What doesn't exactly? Saute in some butter and garlic. It's got to be good.
You know what, Mark?
Adobo.
Wrap it in bacon. Wrap it in bacon, sure, fine.
I'm in. The madness starts today.
Yep.
Other leagues are still playing sports, however. The Lightning at New Jersey tonight.
Huge game for the Panthers at home against Montreal. They have got to get those 2 points.
Now they have 3 games in hand, but they mean nothing unless you win them.
5 points behind the Islanders, but as Mark pointed out, 3 games in hand. In theory, the Panthers can play the we control our playoff fate game. 5 games in the NBA, including the Magic in Phoenix. That game's on NBA TV. NBA's smart. They're realizing it's the tournament. Nobody's going to want to see their product, so they're scheduling very few games. The NHL, meanwhile, on the first day of the NCAA tournament, scheduling 11 games. Unbelievable.
Oh, I am completely turning off my NBA brain for the next few days.
West Virginia and Maryland gets it going at 12:15. Furman and Virginia at 12:40. Utah State and Missouri is the next one up after that. 1 seeds play at 2 and 2:45. Charleston and San Diego State at 3:10. That's going to be a good one. Illinois and Arkansas at 4:30. Iowa and Auburn 6:50. Duke plays at 7:10. And that Louisiana-Tennessee game, that's a late one, 9:40, as is Penn State and Texas A&M.
I got a funny feeling Colgate gives Texas a game in a 2:15 matchup that starts to freak people out. I think Texas wins. I'm not calling for that upset. But remember, 3 times in the last 9 tournaments, we've had a 15 go to the Sweet 16 and beyond, including each of the last 2 years. I'm just saying.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. Enjoy the madness. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Pat Kerwin on the show right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for